hang out until we're done.
Yeah, I've been played Agricola with the wife. She won, not by a whole lot, but she won. But we both played very well, so
I've been baking and cleaning.
I'm telling you, you're a great wife.
Yeah, especially for myself.
That's weird. And then I went outside and I just primered the shit out like everything that needed primered.
Someday somebody's gonna wife me up.
Like I've got this statue of Mitra that I primered it. It, you know how in the Conan? Oh, there is a password. I need to send you the password.
Yeah, I gotta reinstall Conan.
Oh well, you ain't got to play if you don't want to or anything.
I've been playing Red Dead 2.
Yeah, I just got up one day and decided, I think I'm gonna, I think I'm gonna just do some Conan. You know,
Young Master Gregory has Red Dead 2, and he's like, hey, it's on sale on Steam. Why don't you buy it and play it with me? And I was like, okay.
right, right. I dig it.
It's been pretty fun. I got a red-headed Afro white boy cowboy. And you know the hats I always wear?
Yeah,
Well, that's the kind of hat he wears.
I've got like a 7 foot tall albino.
Oh, you're playing Hyperborean.
Yeah, I chose to play Hyperborean. So yeah, I've got all the. I'm like super albinoid with like purple eyes and all that.
Nice.
I am making mini diorama type things. Like, see, I got the table. I need to fix the floors because at first I glued the guys to the floors, but then I realized if I put them on these, like, just these little flat bases, right? Then and painted them the same color as the floors, then I could just do that. You see what I mean?
Yeah, that's
Got
pretty
these
cool.
dudes that are just sitting around drinking. So, somebody's saying something in chat.
Hey, Shadwell.
It is the Shadwell. Yeah, I had a great 4th of July, Shadow.
Yeah, I
No
stuck,
complaints.
I
No,
taped
no
four,
regrets.
I taped 14 Roman candles together in a bundle.
That sounds like not something anybody should do.
And then little young Master Greg held it while we lit it off, and it was awesome.
I feel like you should have did the chant from like the 13th Warrior just in case.
Now we were singing the theme song, the Team America World Police.
I was thinking, oh, there, do I see my brother, my sister? Really? But anyway, so I'm just basically, for whatever reason, I decided to pick up these tables and people in a tavern drinking. And I thought, F it, I'm going to put these things together and I'm going to make them modular. So, you know how a lot of times I just use those little walls to show the outskirts of a building? I'll just put those down and then put these wherever they are. We'll have a whole tavern scene, Because you guys do spend an inordinately large amount of your time in taverns. Just, just kind of hanging out. Not them complaining. I'm just saying. Yeah, you guys are in those taverns all the time. Super jealous. Roman candles, your favorite fire. Well, I mean, you could have got some, right? Or are they illegal?
California made all fireworks illegal this year.
Huh?
California made all fireworks illegal this year.
That's weird. I mean, but I can't say I'm necessarily super surprised, but it is strange.
It's California.
Well, I mean, you know, I wonder why they're called Roman candles.
I don't know.
Like,
It could just be called the best.
did the Romans invent something like them, or is that a play on the words? Because we know that the Byzantines, who called themselves the Eastern Romans, uh, they had actual nozzles where they'd shoot fire out at people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like on their boats, they'd have pumps that literally were shooting liquid fire at people.
Greek fire.
Oh, so he yeah, Greek fire. So he got some stuff. I didn't have to buy stuff because everyone around me had it. So I'm just sitting here and it's like, I actually was streaming during part of it and people were like, man, you know, it's like, they're like, does the fireworks bother you? And no. I know for a lot of people that, you know, fireworks are an issue, but it doesn't do anything to me, you know. And you know what I say, for those veterans that have a problem with the fireworks, somebody in their family should invest in like some really good noise canceling headset, you know? Because as a veteran, I'm not trying to be cold hearted here. As a veteran, I say this: yes, you've got a problem. I 100% get it. A lot of us got problems. But that doesn't mean the whole nation should shut down. It's memorial celebration because you got a problem. It's kind of like, come on, man, handle that shit, right? Get out there and, you know, muscle through it. If it's going to make you freak out, then put on some noise canceling headsets, go into your room, and maybe just put on like a pair of headphones, go into the room and watch a movie or something, you know? Relax. And if you've got a dog that freaks out over fireworks, figure out who effed your dog up. That's what I'd say.
Just get some trazodone from your bed.
No, I'm just saying, fireworks, thunder, all that shit happens to my dog. He's just like doing his thing, you know? Not a care in the world. But I think it's because he grew up in such a home where no one ever hurt him or anything, ever. He barely hears a harsh word, right?
Yeah.
That I think just got it ingrained in his brain that nothing on the planet is ever going to be bad for him.
Are you on Rumble, bro, or are you just on?
Am I doing what?
Are you on Rumble also?
Yes.
Cool.
Why?
Because, you know, we were talking a second ago on Insta, and I told him that you was live.
Oh, yeah. I'm on Rumble. And, you know, if anything bad happens.
See, there he is.
There he is. Soy-free Warhammer. Yeah, right.
Hey, the link is on there if you want to join HD.
Yeah, he popped in and said something yesterday.
I watched his battle report yesterday. I watched your stream when I wasn't outside.
Oh, I watched the battle. Orcs versus Skaven.
Yes.
Skaven are tough.
I watched your stream when I wasn't outside exploding things.
Right.
And then I watched Holy Divers live this morning.
Right. I don't know. When was Holy Diver on this morning?
Early.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I always have to remember, like, Shadow's noon show is like 9 p.m. for him. Right?
Yeah.
It's like, and I'm over here being all like, I never catch these guys. And it's like, well, they're 3 hours ahead of me. So it's not like I'm missing them on purpose. Plus, guys know how the algorithm is. Half the time, people who are subscribed to me never know I'm on until I've been on for like 3 hours. It's like, it makes no sense. But, yeah, and I even put ask me questions if you want. Unless you're related, then don't ask me no questions.
I ain't asking you shit.
Yeah, I ain't asking you shit. But I would say,
And I ain't telling you shit either. What are you?
I have seriously, and I don't know, because Holy Diver, I don't know. I don't know about my bro sometimes, so I don't try to, tell him too much stuff. But hey, thank you, Jack. But
Thank
Holy
you, Jack.
Diver, I got this, and I've had it a while. I've been putting nights together, and this could be right up your alley. And there's another game that basically uses the same figures called Pillage. And apparently the Pillage rules are very reminiscent of the Middle-earth war game rules. So if you've ever played the Middle-earth war game, then Pillage, So
I forgot what game he was talking about today on his live stream that his buddies got him into.
well, the other day they were playing, I think it was 6th or 7th edition Warhammer.
No, this is like with drop pods and shit.
Oh, was he playing, damn it, I know the name of it. It's like drop ship something. There's actually like 2 parts of the game. They've got like the part that you play in space now, and then they've got the part that you play on the ground. It sounds cool. Sounds really cool. Hey,
Hey, come in.
yeah, I know you're there. What's up?
Yeah, I was just making sure. Yeah, not much.
Well, I mean, thank you for stopping in and waving at us, even when you've got other shit you gotta do.
What? I got nothing. What are you talking about?
Well, for the last couple of streams that you didn't join, you stopped in and waved, and then you left.
Oh, yeah.
We're saying thank you for at least stopping in and being like, "What's up, homie?"
Basically, he's
Out
been
there,
like
Holy Diver. So we're gonna hear some stuff.
basically he's been like the go-to girls. Timmy's like, thank you for being a friend. And
Yeah.
Can you hear me okay?
Pop up randomly.
Yeah.
Hey, what up?
So
Hey,
what were you
Steve.
playing?
Did I ever?
Hold on. Were you playing that 6mm drop ship, whatever, this morning?
Oh, no, I wasn't playing Dropship Complete. I was playing that yesterday, Saturday.
yeah,
Oh.
that's the game you were playing. That's what you were talking about today.
Yeah, that's the one I was talking about. Drop Fleet Commander, and it has a really good multiplayer. I've never seen a tabletop game play so well for multiplayer before. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I heard they actually added a space battle element to it.
Yeah, there's Drop Fleet, which is on the ground. I haven't played that, but I've been playing the space battle version and
Okay.
painting ships for that.
Right. I have started playing Conan Exiles again. I made like a 7.5-foot albino because he's a Hyperborean. And I'm painting these like, I'm thinking of them like mini dioramas because I have dudes on seats drinking that I can slide up to the table. So if I want to use them in a game, I can just put that down and put guys drinking around the table. And like I was telling my brother, they do spend an incredibly large amount of time in the taverns.
We
doing
do.
stuff. Oh, and in good news, that asshole that gave a red card to our lead scorer in FIFA, it got overturned. Fuck him.
Nice.
Yes.
All right, sorry, I had to get the
Have you seen
controller switched
the
around.
guy named Holland?
No.
the big Danish dude, blonde. He was in a Chinese restaurant eating, and he looked over at the window and saw the reflection of himself and got scared.
I will say this. I never followed FIFA, but it came to America, so I thought, hey, I'll check it out. And the Norwegians kind of got the coolest team, whatever, like when they do the row, and they're all like lined up like Vikings, and you can hear them like shout. "Ooh."
Oh yeah, that is kind of cool.
That's pretty cool.
The Norwegians
and
are doing a
then-
Viking thing when they do soccer.
Oh, they do this whole Viking thing. The Swedes or whichever one, where they all like line up and they like pretend like they're rowing a longboat.
Yep.
And they got a guy like yelling, and they're all like, grunting loud, "Brr," and then the Scots, for some reason, sing "Take Me Home, Country Roads" a lot.
The Scots drink Boston dry.
The Scots drank so much beer, there was no beer in Boston. They had to order more beer.
I was sounding the alarm about that. I said, "Oh no, those people are going to drink us out of house and home. We need that. We need the UK to take them back immediately.
Well,
They want what we have: jobs, sobriety, and hope."
Well, the Scots, I mean, like I told you, it was heartwarming to watch the people who came over actually encountering real America and then making videos about it and just being like,
They're all saying they're all saying they've been lying to us for years. America is awesome.
yeah. That's pretty much what they all say, no matter where they're from. They're like, they say America's this, that, and the other. They're full of shit. America's the best country ever. Like the Scottish guys are like, I want to go home.
I seen something today I thought I'd never see. It was a French guy saying, "The hell with Viva la France, it's Viva la America."
I saw that French guy. He's walking down the sidewalk and he's like, look, I'm walking down the sidewalk and I have my phone out and no one's trying to steal it.
He's like, "I had a Texas barbecue today, and it was the greatest day of my life. And I had a wife and 2 kids."
Yeah, he did say that. He's like, I had Texas barbecue. This is the greatest day of my life, and I have a wife and 2 kids. It's like, damn. All right. And then, the Tartan horde showed up. The Scottish, thousands of them.
The Tartan Army, yeah.
The Tartan army, and then
I like the Japanese who keep everything cleaner than when they found it.
the freaking Japanese shows up. The game goes on, and at the end of the game, the Japanese fans start cleaning the freaking stadium.
That warms my heart.
Even the players left their locker room completely
They come out and
cleaner
help
than
clean.
No, they left their whole their locker room cleaner than it was before they entered.
Of
But
course
that's
they
because
did.
That's their culture. And I said this the other day,
Yeah.
Jimmy, you missed it because I know what a weeb you are. But I went off on all cultures are not the same, and the Japanese prove it.
Yeah.
I don't
The
even
Japanese
have to say
have a
European
really good
culture.
system that I agree with in grade school. So starting in about, I think it's 4th grade, if you're a student at a school, you're responsible for cleaning the school. There are no janitors. At the end of the day, all of the kids pitch in to clean up the school. They scrub the toilets, they take out the trash, they scrub the floors, they
So
pick
that
up the
shit is
rubbish.
true.
And then they go
Yeah,
to their
that is-
clubs. They do whatever. They go to their respected clubs and everything, and they do club time or whatever, football or their sports club. Then they go home, and then
Yep.
the uniform comes off. They do their homework, and then they go to bed, basically. But I
Yeah, when
think
they're at
that's-
school, after they do all the cleaning and stuff, the Japanese kids usually at school until 5 or 6 in the evening.
and then
And they get there at like 8.
I like that though. I think that should be a thing in America where you force the kids to clean.
Yeah.
I think
teaches-
it probably does teach a good lesson.
It teaches respect for public property. You know, you heard that old saying, nobody cares about the commons.
Right. Well, that's what there was a British lady walking down the street somewhere, and she was surprised at how clean, it was in Boston, I don't know what neighborhood, and she was so surprised at how amazing it was. And she was talking about where she lives on the estates in England, people have like rusting refrigerators just hanging out in the comments, just sitting there, and like no one ever comes to get it. And she's walking through Boston, and one reoccurring theme from all of them was how they felt safe. Like they're walking down the street and they're just like, I'm in the middle of Miami. I don't feel like I got a problem at all with anything, you know? It's like, because you probably don't, guys. Stop watching so much TV or something, right?
Listening to the propaganda news.
I need to lay off the Instagram, that's for sure. I was trying to take a nap, but I ended up doom scrolling. And I asked Hungar today, am I too critical of India after I saw a bus crash with people riding on top of it? They were standing up while the bus was driving at like 30 miles an hour, and then it tipped over.
And the bus flipped.
Well, that's why, guys. It's not a joke. This is why anytime you hear about an accident in India, the casualty rates are insane. Because it's the same with their train system. These dudes will get on the train and they'll be hanging off the side, riding on the roof. So, you know, a bus or a train or something gets in an accident. It's not just the people that should normally be on there. It's like times that by 3.
There's a Instagram reel of a National Geographic voice dubbing over. Here we see the native Indian and their natural predator, the commuter train.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. It is pretty wild. It's
Indians do be getting killed by trains a lot.
well, I mean, I've seen some of those places where it's like you got this whole market set up, and then they hear the train, and they all grab all the tables and pull them out of the way, and then the train goes by, and then as soon as it goes by, they put all the tables right back. So they're literally using the tracks kind of as a market.
We're the ones where the guys are hanging off the train doing little dances and stuff, and then the train passes a pole.
That's
And
the
not
best.
to move
That's
it off.
classic. Death by train pole.
I got into a little bit of a colorful conversation on X a couple of weeks ago with one of our esteemed gentlemen from the subcontinent, and he did the whole thing they always do. While your people were in caves, we were creating societies. And I responded with, we conquered you every time we encountered you. And he's like, no, you didn't. And I'm like, well, I mean, the Aryan invasion, a couple thousand years later, Alexander, a couple thousand years later, you know, or 1,000
The
years
British.
later, the freaking English Tea Company. It's like you literally got conquered by mercantile concern. So I hate that when people try to be that way, you know. Our civilization is older. That don't mean it's better.
Their civilization is older, and they still can't figure out how not to shit in a river.
Their civilization is older, and they still can figure out how to wash their hands before cooking food.
And it's
Yeah,
crazy
I
because
mean,
I love curry.
I wonder because, you know, I went to Indian restaurants and stuff, and I love Indian food, but I've often wondered if they have our, hey, what's up, Big James? If they use our standards when they're here, like if they've Americanized to the point that they actually.
Oh, I guarantee there's a special division that handles Indian restaurant affairs. It could be its own law and order. Manesh, did you wash your hands? Dun 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 dun.
Dun, 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 dun.
I don't know. I mean, without being away, for one thing, every time India and Pakistan decide to go to war, I am always Team India all the way. I'm always like, go India, whip their asses, right? But they do have some cultural norms that I don't think I can get behind.
You know, people talk shit about the Indians, and I'm one of them. But I have to give it up where it's due. The Gurkhas are badass. When they wanted to the,
I
when
heard
the
the airplane thing, right?
when the
Yeah.
5 people volunteered to jump out of an airplane and they thought they weren't getting parachutes.
No
5
one had
people-
told them they'd have parachutes, so they assumed they were being asked to volunteer to jump out of an airplane without them. And the British were surprised because only 5 men volunteered out of 100. And they're like, these Gurkhas are badasses. They always volunteer. They went and asked them. The guys didn't know they were getting parachutes and still had volunteered to jump out of the plane. It's like, tough guy. Tough guys.
Yeah.
But, I mean, here's the problem with that, though. Is Nepal part of India? I think it's its own country.
Yeah,
I don't know.
country.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're their own country.
But they all look the same. It's like all of it's China.
Man, that is like, if there's one thing that is not true, it is that everyone in India does not look the same.
No.
They look distinctly different depending on where you are standing. There's a lot of ethnicities there, man. It's like you get to the very south of India and their skin is dark, dark, dark. You get to the very north and they've got skin pink as mine. And then if you go to the east, they're Asian looking, and you go to the west, they start looking more Arabic. I mean,
I like the border at China and India. They're not allowed to have guns, but about every week or so, they all get out there and just beat the shit out of each other with clubs.
you know what I like? Anyway, never mind. I'm not going to be mean to you today. I promised myself. So the Orcs vs. Skaven, I thought that was a really good duke it out.
You know how I
I
mentally
think that the
prepared for
Orcs
that
were
game.
in a negative position from the get-go, kind of, because of just Skaven firepower ranges, like, just not right. You know what I mean?
No, it's okay. It was a good game. I mean, you saw what I did. I mean, I wish I was filming when I killed his Vermin Lord with Goblin Spear Chuckers. You know, 650 point model, dead to 80 points. You know, so
that big scrum that happened on your right side of the table where all those boys had ran in against that freaking mob of rats, that was a pretty big fight.
that was a big fight. You only need about 15 boys to mess up a unit of 30 Skaven.
Yeah, I think
You know-
that's what happened, right? Didn't you
Yeah.
break him and make him run?
You know,
Which
Holy
good for him.
Diver, when you said the whole Skaven just taking out like that Vermin Lord, I did something similar in a different game,
Yeah.
different war game. I played a game called Star Wars Legion at one point. I took like these cheap shotgunners from the Rebels and took out Anakin Skywalker with them.
Yeah, but didn't you also tell me that the shotgun was OP? And
Oh, they are horribly OP. If they get in range, you're basically taking out almost whatever you're hitting.
That sounds cool. So you killed Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Before he was Darth Vader.
But yeah,
Yeah.
ran up on Anakin.
He ran up on Anakin, just unloaded a thing of.
Well, I mean, you know,
That's not
people shoot blasters at them and they deflect that shit with their lightsaber. But what are you going to do if somebody runs up and just starts spewing, you know, buckshot at you? It's like, yeah, deflect that shit, buddy.
I didn't know they had any projectile weapons in Star Wars.
In the
Oh,
role
they
playing
do,
game,
but-
they go into it quite a bit. Yes.
Yeah, but in this game, that's not a projectile weapon. It's just a blaster that shoots out like a bunch of little shots at you.
In the West End game Star Wars, see, somebody finally asked a question about a game. In West End game Star Wars, they have all kinds of weapons, projectile. They're not as commonly used as blasters because blasters basically function on these little canisters of Tabana gas or whatever, right?
Okay.
So they're just really super sturdy and it's super easy to deal with them. But yeah, there's some bounty hunters that specifically carry shotguns and shit like that because of how difficult they
Yeah.
are to deal with.
Slug throwers.
Yeah, slug throwers and shit they call them. But I mean, it is what it is. And like I said, in the role playing game, it is that way. If you run up and you get close to pretty much anybody with a shotgun, if they're not wearing really, really good armor, they'll be going away.
Yep.
All right, but I'm going to hop off here and finish my dinner.
You do
I'll
that,
see you,
homie.
Hungar.
Love it. Later, Tammy. Later, HD.
Well, thank you for inviting me, Hungar.
Well, I mean, you're always invited, but
You're always invited, Holy Diver.
Well, he told me James was live, and I told him I'd make my way over to Rumble to make sure I watch him over there.
you are definitely invited to the picnic. But any hoozle. Did you hear me though talking about Barons War? Nobody in your area is getting into Barons War or pillage or anything?
Not my area.
Huh. I wonder if it's because, and I don't know why, this would be true, but it is true. Florida has a lot of historic war games. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got a lot of seniors with money. They move down there and they have their wargaming collections.
Yeah, you say that, and now I'm all like, well, duh. Yeah, it makes sense. Because, yeah, I went to the comic shop a couple of years ago, and they were playing Napoleonic in 10 millimeter, and the guy who was hosting the game was from Holland. And, I mean...
Isn't that weird? I'm from Holland. Sorry. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, please, by all means, interrupt. I thought it was just like, because he had an accent, and I'm like, well, where are you from? He's like, I'm from Holland. And I was like, cool, and this is your army? And he's like, yeah, and they were using black powder. So,
Yeah, and all of
they were marking out the casualties and all that stuff, and they looked like they were having a blast.
So in all of those games, they have so you go to Hail Caesar, Black Powder, and Pike and Shot. They have rules for different scale, all the way up to 54 millimeter, from 6 all the way up to 54. And I think it's just changes in measurements.
Yeah, I think the basic concept of the rules doesn't really change, but the measurements and ranges do. Because
Yeah.
I bought that gigantic, super special American Civil War box set from Warlord Games. Now I kind of wish I hadn't. Now I kind of wish I had known they were going to come out with a Punic War box set. I would save the money on that, because
I've almost bought that set, the giant Civil War set, so many times. It's just that I have so much on my plate. You understand?
right.
Yeah, like I would totally do that because it's like if you wanted money, here's a tip, kids. If you want to make money painting miniatures, buy those box sets in bulk and paint them, and then when they're all done, sell them on eBay. There
is a guy that I've talked to very infrequently lately. I hope he's okay. Fritz, and that's all he does is paint like between the 10 and 15s.
Yes.
For people. And if I had the money, I would definitely send him my shit and be like, please. It don't even gotta look great. Just make them look like they should, But the problem is, I just would much rather be playing, Scipio Africanus versus Hannibal Barca than the Civil War. I jumped the gun. Now, I do know that I don't give a shit about Napoleonic. Yeah, I mean... I learned that.
I can't help myself. I see a stranger in the mirror staring at me, and I'm like, I should really just get into Napoleonics. Why am I fighting it?
I bought a ton of Napoleonics like years ago, painted up a bunch of the French, and I mean like 100+ figures, set on their little movement trays, and went on freaking what's it called? Yeah, I went on Facebook and said bunch of Napoleonic shit for sale, and like that day, some dude's like, "I'll buy it," and he drove to my house and paid me cash. Took that shit right. All of
Yeah.
it. And
Yeah,
I was
that's-
just like, "Wow, well, it went quick." I mean, I gotta give it that. There
Yeah,
are
if
people
you-
out there who are willing to drop. Well, it's like you said, older dudes, money. They're obsessed with their particular war, Napoleon.
Well, you see, they're in the sweet. They're in this. Okay, so you're in the sweet spot for gaming age-wise because you've got the time, you've got the money, you've got the disposable income, and you're a lot of guys who might have the money but they don't have the time. But they'd have time to get a game in, but they don't have time to sit there and paint all their stuff, or they're just not into that aspect of the hobby. But they would like it. They would, and which is like complete opposite of like people getting into the hobby. Oh, I want to learn how to paint and everything and do that. And it's like, why don't you? I told my cousin's husband was up there with 4th of July and everything like that, and he was talking about it, how there's a Warhammer store. And I said, if you want to try Warhammer, you can come to my house next time you're in town. I'll show you anything you want to know. But if you find yourself getting weaker and you want to play, my suggestion is research what you want to play, what looks the coolest, buy it on eBay used, and then try it out. But don't go into the store fresh and buy stuff off those assholes.
Yeah, I've been on the wrong end of that multiple times. How you doing, Daryl? But and for those who are wondering, no, the Hyperborea game did not happen because we decided, it was the 4th of July.
Yep, 4th of July.
And I play with a bunch of people who are between, their mid-30s and up. And that means, families and whatever, kids, obligations. So sometimes you just got to deal with it. It just is what it is, right? But that's okay. That's okay. Do you ever actually would you say I'm going to take a weird guess here. Would you say, Tony, that you play role-playing games often? Okay, that I was wrong then. Because we know Tim is Tim. For some reason, I thought Holy Diver's name was Tony.
Oh, okay. I was like, I thought you might be talking to somebody in the audience, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I was a little bit confused myself.
No, it's all good. And, do I? You know what? I'd like to play some Dungeons and Dragons and everything like that. It's always fun to sit down. Me, if I was going to sit down and play tomorrow, rather than roll stats, I'm just going to choose one of the 6 characters out of the box that you get. Like I have the starter box upstairs. First quest, you got 6 character cards. I'm just going to choose one of those characters. They've got everything that they need to be successful. You've got a thief with a 15 dexterity. He's got his 6 hit points. He's got a strength of 12. He's not Stephen Bleeping Hawking, and you're good to go. Or you got the dwarf, 12 hit points, 16 constitution, strength 15. Perfect character right there. Grab yourself an axe and a shield. You're good to go. I can get into any one of those characters really, really quickly, But sitting down and like trying to roll for all that stuff, just like, okay, let's skip that phase. Would you mind if I played one of these cards?
You know what is I kind of love your response, because when I started the current game, and actually when I've started all of my games in the last whenever, what I tend to do, because I actually do not mind creating characters, I kind of like it, right? And I do this thing where I don't make anybody roll the dice. I have a standard array. Everyone gets a set of 6 numbers that can be put wherever they want, right?
Mm.
Most of my players don't want to sit down and make characters, so I make like 40 over the course of a week or so, you know. Like when I'm bored, I'll go on my computer and I'll open up the PDF of the form fillable character sheet and just make a shit ton of characters. And then when it's game night, session 0 or whatever people call it, right? I put that stack of characters on the table and I will have them go through and pick the one they want.
And that's another, yeah, I like that aspect. I like that aspect of it. Yeah. And another thing, you know, it's like, okay, I don't want to start all over again. I have one other friend that I might be able to do this with. I would like to do, okay, you get a level 7 or 8 guy, and I'd like to, like, you just showed up in, was it Monrovia? What is it called?
Barovia.
It's Barovia. You just showed up there and play that first Ravenloft module. That first big box that you get, it's a starter. You got the fortune tellers, you got the mist. You can explore all over. You have Strahd's castle. You can't, you know, I mean, you've got to find like the items to defeat Strahd. You've got to find out where his coffin is, and then
even better, I'm pretty sure that thing comes with a bunch of pre-generated characters.
Oh, I don't know. I've never looked inside it. It's, you know, it's not.
I think, because I have the actual original module, and I'm pretty sure that came with like 8 pre-gen characters.
It might have, because they've also set it up. Who was it? The writers. They set it up so that you could. They played it every Halloween for years.
Yeah,
Hickman and Weiss,
I think, was one of them, and I think it was the people who wrote Dragonlance.
Yeah, it was Hickman and Weiss.
Right, and it was the first big. Hey, Coochie. It was the first big module like itself, because every other module had really just been you and the group are going to go to a dungeon and do some shit. But in Ravenloft, Strahd was actually doing stuff, which was not common in D&D modules prior to, which is why so many people say that Ravenloft is the greatest module. Because it is the one where the main monster boss is actively messing with you, you know? Like when you're in the tavern and he shows up because he wants, what's her name, Titania or whatever. And I'm pretty sure, and I know all of the old school gamers listening, they probably know for sure if there was pre-gen characters. But that was one thing TSR used to do back in the day. It's like you bought an adventure, and pretty much every adventure would have like 8 pre-gen characters of the appropriate level with the appropriate magical items. So
because it
you
seemed
could
like
just
whenever
sit down with the group and play the game.
Yeah. And isn't there some kind? I think there's a table that they roll on for what Strahd's going to do in his turn.
Strahd gets because he's always moving around the damn castle. So you never know where Strahd might be, depending.
Yeah.
Because he wanders around and gets into shit and does things.
In fact, he might be right behind you right now.
And the best part is he has the power to hypnotize you. Like, okay, so how do you ward off that? Is it an intelligence check or is it a constitution check?
I think that it's some kind of saving throw. I'm not sure which one. I'd have to look. Yes. He can hypnotize
I would probably say a wisdom.
He can do all kinds of shit.
I'd probably say a wisdom save for that, but I'm not sure.
Well, I mean, you have to remember, I'm sitting here thinking about the original, which was AD&D, and I'm like, poison, paralyzation, which one was it? I don't know.
Well, I guess if this was in our game, it'd kind of probably be.
Well, my group fought a
Death or-
vampire who was definitely not Strahd level, Timmy, and that asshole charmed one of them. I think it was like a
Boy.
spell roll.
Yeah, I could see a spell roll. Yeah, I
Yeah.
could see that.
And vampire charm is no joke. It's not like normal charm.
Yeah.
You know, that shit will turn you into a Renfield. You'll be running around being like, yes, master.
I just think of like that the chaotic good barbarian for that. That one thing from Dracula. He's like, "Sorry, master.
Oh,
I didn't
yeah.
know. I didn't know vampires are so weak. Weak? You think we're weak? And you know how hard it is to live over 1,000 years with these kinds of weaknesses?"
Yeah, because the guy like opens the drapes, lets the sun in. That is a good series. I haven't saw too much of the new stuff because
Yeah.
I've just been doing stuff. But
Oh man, I wonder if they made some newer stuff. I haven't seen it in a while, so I was.
well, they did a
wondering that.
compilation, Tim,
Yeah, they did a
where you
compilation.
can just watch all of them at one time. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, Holy Diver, it's the chaotic good barbarian, who is not chaotic nor good. Maybe chaotic, definitely not good. And he's wandering around the realm, just
Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, yeah.
Doing
I
the
know.
work.
I know that
Yeah.
it's a cartoon. I will not tolerate the presence of evil.
right.
Yes.
Like when he breaks into the witch and forces her to take the potion of immortality because
He
like
likes
my
his
faith
plaything
is durable or
extra
some shit.
durable. It's like,
And
what?
then the lich, you'll never kill me until you find my. So he just starts cutting its limbs off. And he's like, how about I just. The way he talks is so like, this guy's got damage, right? He's like, so maybe I get a pointy stick and I shove it like way up inside of you. And the lich is like, what the. Dude,
Look, my eyeballs by phylactery. Just please end it now. It's like,
yeah, just in now. He's like, the one guy bragging about his sword, so the barbarian basically just kills him with a toothpick.
it's like the
And,
problem with your plate is that it does the job too quickly. Mine will rend you asunder in a million hits.
Yeah. One of my favorite is when he takes the paladin to whip those orcs' ass. And the
Oh
paladin's
yeah.
like, I've got a geese. I cannot kill anyone. And the barbarian's like, who says you have to kill someone to extract justice?
Yes.
So they don't burn that. They cut all the arms and legs off the orc chief and then burn him, but they keep healing him. By the time they're done, he looks like a giant chicken McNugget.
That's
And
awesome.
the other orcs are like, we got to jump in and stop this shit. And the barbarian just puts his hand up to stop him.
No,
He's like,
let him cook."
Let him cook. And it's just like, and then the woman's like, take me with you, Steven. Yeah, the paladin's like,
It was Kevin.
"No."
Kevin, take me with you,
Kevin,
Kevin.
yeah, the paladin, Kevin. I mean, the whole thing is stupid. You've got this guy sitting in a bar. The other guy wanders in the bar and he's like, I'll have a glass of milk, please. And the barbarian's sitting there and he's like, milk, good choice. So what's going on with you, Kevin? And it's just like surreal is what it is. It's like, what is going on with Kevin? They go to the beach and they end up like, what's up, Shellback?
Have you seen the reason he has all those kisses?
Yes,
They're
he wanted to
oats.
ride the unicorn, and then when
Yeah.
the unicorn finally or the Pegasus finally says, "Fine, you may mount me," the barbarian comes jumping out of the woods onto the Pegasus' back and smacks it on the ass and takes off.
Yes.
But Kevin now has all these geezes that he has to obey. He can't curse. He can't be with women. He can't masturbate. He can't kill anything. So the barbarian screwed him over too.
But then they become best buddies.
And then they become best buddies. Go to the beach and shit together. So, yeah.
I'll definitely have to watch more of that. I've seen a couple episodes. Yeah.
I
Oh
like
my
I like the final episode of the first season where the villains are like having this talk about what they're doing and
Yeah, all the villains are trying to get together to figure out what to do with him, and he shows up.
yeah.
It's just like, oh no. I mean, and the character is literally built like a brick. He's just a big square. He just comes walking in, you know. It's like, oh no. So,
Master, the guy who designed your lair is here. It's like, what?
I decided to primer some of my Conan miniatures because I bought that Conan the Hyperborean role-playing game miniatures box. It comes with like a couple hundred miniatures in it.
Are they 28 mil?
They are.
Oh, that's neat.
So I'm going to have to paint. Here's one of the apes. I primered
Yeah,
him
show
up in
back
bone color.
Dungeon suit.
Because it's not Conan if there aren't apes. That's the rule. Yeah, Dungeon Soup. You're right, Showback. That's who does it. Like, yeah, they go to the beach and like a siren tries to get him and that don't work out. And then he goes on a date with a succubus and that don't work out. He makes her eat her own heart or some shit.
Yeah. Or the leprechaun one.
Yeah, I mean, it's like,
God,
the one rule I've learned from watching that show is you just really don't want at any time to mess with the barbarian.
Nope.
Because no matter what, it is going to end really bad for you. And it's just the way, it's just the way the barbarian is.
I like the leprechaun one though. That one was hilarious. At the end, he's like, just like having the leprechaun just have like this boost of confidence, and it's just like, I think I'm gonna win. Then it's like, now the one who wins just win. You have to have your skin turn inside out, your organs inside out, and lots of eyes and all this other stuff. And it's like, oh brother, why?
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely something.
It's like,
The Oni girl, yeah, the Oni Gary. I don't know if they've made some new ones, but yeah, the ones they did make were pretty hilarious.
Didn't they? I think they had some kind of deal that they were going to do with Adult Swim, but that fell through because Adult Swim won't work with you unless you allow them to buy the property and fuck you over completely, like they did the creator of the Boondocks.
Yeah, I think they also did something crappy with the Aqua Teen Hunger Force guys.
No, okay, so Aqua Teen Hunger Force was created in-house, but a couple of the people who worked on the show, Carrie Means, Next to Homeless, and then I think it's Andy Merrill. He should have gotten like a vice president position. Works as a Amazon driver. Got bit by a dog. You can follow him on Instagram. And then there were like some of the other people. The guy who plays Master Shake went on to be a big, huge voice actor. Had a part in Squidbillies. Plays cartoon voices for days now, and always seems to have a job. Whereas like there are a couple people who did voices and worked on that show all those years, never went anywhere. You know, and like Andy Merrill ended up getting fired from Adult Swim for no reason, and has to work at Amazon to make ends meet. And he was working for Adult Swim since day one, so it's like you weren't making any money.
Well, not if you immediately had to go to work for freaking Amazon.
You weren't making the big bucks yet.
Right. Well, I mean, I don't know. I guess good for Master Shake. But, yeah, I didn't know that they screwed over the Boondocks guy.
Oh, yeah. They took him to the cleaners. They bought the rights, the TV rights, so he can never do another show again. And all he can do is his little comic book strip, and that's it. And they fired him for being a writer. They never reconciled with him. And because he couldn't write at the pace that they needed him to write, and he says, I can't write that fast. I can't write that fast. They're like, oh, okay, well then you're fired. Okay, well thanks for nothing. And then they brought in some writers to work on season 4, and it all fell apart. And season 4, it just didn't seem the same. It had like a really bad, it had a weird vibe. It wasn't, you could tell it wasn't written by the same dude, and
Right.
that the stories were like Stairway to Nowhere stories. Originally, what he wanted to do, he wanted to take a hiatus, which they weren't going to let him do, and he wanted to find a way to write Uncle Ruckus in as a villain who had become mayor of Woodcrest.
Really?
Yeah, that was going to kind of be the next arc, was Ruckus was going to be the mayor of Woodcrest.
That might have been interesting, you know.
And
So
they, or have,
Samuel and
especially
and
after
freaking-
2015, where he's like, you know, I could have written like Ruckus to maybe run for president. I was fooling around with a lot of things with Ruckus, and he doesn't even have the rights to do a movie with Ruckus or anything like that. He wanted to do that. He had some stuff written, and it just can't come because they're not going to let you do a movie. They're not going to let you do any kind of media.
Yeah, that was that sucks because I actually I like the Boondocks. I know that a lot of the guys like Al Sharpton and shit were always yelling at the guy who created it. They weren't super fans of it, but
No, not at all.
I thought it was, like one of my favorite
thought-
episodes is the one with Bob Ross.
Oh God, yeah, that was funny.
Hey, Nerdy
I
Ogre,
remember
how
that
you
one.
doing, bud? Long time no see. Yeah, but I need to figure out exactly how I want to paint these apes. I'm thinking I'm going to go with a neutral gray and then neon oil to darken them up, maybe. And then a dark brown for the skin, maybe, or a greasy black. I've got this greasy black that's a really good color for.
Let me see here.
That program that I got the miniature of myself made at Holy Diver.
Yeah.
I did not know this, but there's a comment section. So when you put the picture in, as I did, right, you can write a comment underneath it like, the warrior is wearing Russian-style lamellar armor and a Russian-style helmet. And it will take whatever you put in, therefore a picture of me, and remove the leather armor and put Russian lamellar on it.
Oh, that's cool.
So you can actually modify the picture within the program. It'll be you, but you can modify what you're wearing, your hair color, the whole 9 yards.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Because
So I'm looking at some apes on the comic book art for Conan. Actually, your choices, I think, you could do black, traditional black ape. I see some brown apes here with fleshy faces, and I also see some red apes with what do you call it? Kind of skin, fleshy parts. I don't want to say too. I like the brown with the fleshy faces, and then you could do the normal traditional ape, but the red one, I'm trying to put I think it's monster fur brown for his skin, and that's a,
Right.
Let's see. That's a war paint, and I got to find it real quick.
yeah, I've got ruddy fur. I love it.
Yeah, you could use, it's monster fur brown from the war paints. Only problem with this one is it's thick,
Yeah.
and
Well, I've kind of made my mind up in my head, and it turns out it's going to be none of the above.
none of the above. All right.
Yeah, I'm going to base him gray, hit him with neon oil, and then dry brush him up with a dirty white. And that way he'll look like the kind of ape that should be living in like tundra and mountains. Because, in Hyperborea, 80% of the world is tundra and mountains. That's
Yeah.
why, the miniature pictures that Cold Iron makes for me, you'll notice I'm always trudging through.
Tundra and
Except when I'm
mountains.
in the city, I'm trudging through a tundra, And he made one with him and I in it. And I've got him pinned up against the wall, and the dog is like looking like it wants to rip his face off. And I'm yelling at him, and I'm like, "What's going on with this?" He's like, "I tried to pick your pocket, but your dog caught me." And it looks like, because I know what he looks like in real life.
Yeah.
What I mean? Looks dead like him. And I'm like, well, why don't you make one where you and I are actually doing an adventure together? But instead, he made one where my wife and I are doing an adventure together. And then he made one where like we're standing and the dog's giving us like rolling its eyes at us and she's giving me a kiss. And I put that in the miniature making thing, and it actually made that miniature. Like I'm standing there and she's up on one foot, give me a kiss, and the dog's standing right beside us. So
That's
I will
nice.
definitely get that done, if for no other reason than to put on the mantle. You know what I mean? What's the topic today? Ask me anything. Within reason. The other day, you guys started getting into butt stuff and everything, and I don't need that. But I'll tell you, what's the topic today? Nerdy Ogre, ask me anything about how awesome Hyperborea is. We'll be here until midnight. But it is awesome. So there's that.
I am going
Ask
to
me
be
how
here.
awesome it was to get the lower chassis of this T-55 main battle tank put together the other day. Pretty awesome. Can't wait.
T-55 sucks.
Hey, it's what the Vietnamese could get. So calm down. All right?
I'm just
They could
messing
get
with you.
T-55s and P-76s. And I'm thinking about redoing the battle at, I think it's Bien Lien Phu or something.
Dean Ben Phu.
Okay, is that the battle where they rode tanks on the Special Forces outpost?
Oh no, this is the battle that Dien Ben Phu is where they defeated the French.
Oh, no, we don't want to do that, where they were all up in the hills firing down on the French.
Yeah.
No, the tracks don't move, Shellback. No, I want to do the one based on the book Tanks in the Wire, where apparently an NVA regiment snuck a bunch of tanks up on a Special Forces outpost. And it was like an A-team and 90 mountain yards. And they took on like 5 tanks and plus just shit tons of infantry. They won, but in the end, because they only had one tank, an M48 Patton, it eventually got taken out. So they were actually using 5-gallon jerry cans to destroy the Russian tanks, like making gigantic Molotov cocktails out of them and just running up and chucking them in. My Verdun. Can you bake bread in Hyperborea? Yes, you can, Daryl. How does the magic system work in Hyperborea? Very similar to standard D&D. Shellback, I would say, and I bet you we'll hear because Timmy is a huge weeb, but I would say the T-55 would wreck a Nago, like all day.
Like what? Oh, a Nago?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. The Japanese never figured out tanks during World War II. They just never did.
No.
Which, I mean, neither did the Italians, so what are you going to do? Not necessarily true. They did have a few prototype medium tanks, the Italians did, that were actually good.
Japan
but
might have
their
had one.
industry was so effed up, they were never going to be able to put them on the field. So it was like,
That's kind of similar with Japan. They might have had one, but it didn't matter. They weren't ever going to fill
yeah,
it.
they weren't doing it. Meanwhile, the United States was cranking out 60,000 Shermans.
Yeah.
It's
America
like,
was
yeah,
just
get out of here, you know? And I I will tell you war gamers out there, don't let anyone tell you any tank in World War II was better than the Sherman. They're full of shit. The Sherman was the best tank of World War II, and how I can prove it is this. Look at the number of Sherman tanks destroyed versus casualties. It was
Not
like,
just that, but
it was the most survivable tank
everything too.
ever.
In a
And
lot of
plus-
ways,
Yeah, and plus it was high tech, had gyroscopic freaking,
yeah,
could actually fire on the move, not great, but could.
yeah.
Giant spring-loaded hatches, so if a round whipped through the tank and you need it out right then,
You can get out.
you could do it. A
It was
great
super
gun.
mass producible.
Like that first gun they mounted on it, it was such a good general-purpose gun.
Yep, the 75 was the popular choice.
Yeah, because it could take out bunkers, it could take out infantry.
I thought they didn't come with the 75 millimeter cannon initially.
I
No,
think
they
they
did.
came with a 76, and then they wanted to go to a 75.
No, they started off
But
with
it
the
was a
75, and they later went with the 76. The 76 was the
Well, then you had the jumbo that had like the frickin' 105 millimeter howitzer or some shit on it, whichever one that was.
They
wasn't
made
the
one with a
jumbo.
105 to deal with the German heavy tanks, but that's not what we were doing. That's not what we do. Is the P-51 Mustang would come up and pop the tanks for us.
Yeah, that see that
Mustang,
you're
or you
totally
would have,
right.
like, the M10
You're totally
or-
right, Holy Diver. Our tank was not built to destroy tanks.
No,
It was,
we had tank
it was there to
destroyers for aircraft.
harass the infantry and hide behind. And if we ever encountered it, we always called up the tank busters to come and get them.
Yep.
Because
Yeah, not only that, but we had the Wolverine and we had the
The Black Cat, the M18.
yeah, and they were specifically designed to take out armor.
Yep.
And they were really fast, not very armored, but with a really good gun. So
Yep.
if you ran into armor, you just call them bitches up, and they just run up, take a shot, and haul ass.
Yep.
So, but yeah, that's the thing, you know.
we
our
had the best
Sherman
planes pound for pound during the war.
Yeah,
Well,
some of the
the
best
Sherman
planes.
tank, I voted the best because you were more likely to survive being assigned to a Sherman than any other tank. Like the German tanks are
That is
beautiful
like
and
the
all,
best.
but look
Yeah.
at the way the hatch system on a Panther is.
Yeah.
If that thing takes a round and it's starting to burn, you're dead before you get
You're
the
cooked.
hatch open. Forget it. It's not happening. Same with the Tiger.
Yep.
And they had tiny little hatches, and you had to like spin the handle like a screw to lift the hatch, and then you had to roll the hatch out of your way. Whereas on the Sherman, you ran up and hit that button, that hatch pops up. And they're big. The Sherman tank had really big hatches everywhere.
Yep.
And then, of course, the T-34, which everyone jerks off to, it killed as many of its crew as the freaking Germans did.
Yeah.
I mean, that tank, the engine exhaust would leak into the crew cab. So if you locked up in the wintertime, you'd die of carbon monoxide poisoning. I mean, it's just not a good tank.
No.
But
They
there were a
also
lot of
they also over hardened them, so their armor was never as good as they should have been.
Yeah, they over case hardened the armor and it made it brittle.
Yep. One hit with anything will pretty much knock the armor out.
You know how you know the T-34 wasn't great? When they overran the Italians during Operation Uranus, the Italians destroyed a shit ton of them with nothing but gas bottles. Because the
Yeah.
Italians had never been equipped with any decent anti-tank equipment, because the Germans were being jerk-offs and keeping all the best equipment for themselves, and left the Italians and the Romanians with their asses hanging out in the wind, right? So when that big mob of T-34s and KV-1s comes ripping through, what are you supposed to do? I mean, the Romanians tried, but they got wrecked. And then the Italians, they fought like hell, man. They were destroying tanks literally with Molotovs in the snow. But see, this is something I go off on. The Italians get a really bad reputation for World War II that they don't deserve.
No, their soldiers were really good. Just
Yeah, their
very,
equipment
very
sucked
unequipped.
balls, but their soldiers would fight.
I
You
think
know,
Rommel would disagree with you there. He's like, we're forced to bear this burden. And he always had to disobey orders because the Italians had loose lips. So whenever he had to like make a decision on the spot, he could never send that question to high command, and because if it went into Italy, it somehow ended up in the hands of a British officer that evening.
Oh, I don't doubt that, but I would temper Rommel's opinion with just how the Germans were at that time.
Well, Rommel was also one.
Especially if,
He wasn't too quick to judge the Americans for the embarrassing defeat at Kasserine. What he did was sit down and look at their equipment when he was done. He's like, we are in some serious shit here. All of it's standardized. Everybody's carrying the same goddamn ammunition, and all of the equipment is universal per soldier, which was not something that was for the Germans were doing, the Italians, the English.
Well, I mean, we were definitely the best army, especially where it counts logistically.
And he was also very wary of our artillery.
As well, you should. It's all fun and games until a unit of priests rolls in about 10 miles away and just starts eating you up, right? And then once we had air power, it was like, yeah, good luck. I mean, I like the F-190 and the BF-109 as much as the next guy. They're pretty looking airplanes, but against like a Mustang, get out here. Take that shit on. And yeah, so again, that my reasoning though for the best tank is like the casualty versus destroyed tank rate, and the fact that you could drag a damaged Sherman back to like the freaking mechanic area, and they could have that bitch put back together pretty quick.
We also had we had the P-40 Warhawk, the Flying Tiger.
Oh, the flying tank.
And those were as good. When we lent a mercenary squad to the Manchurians in China, we were testing those off against the Mitsubishi Zero, and we were winning.
Yeah.
Right.
And it proved a couple of things, that our planes were better and our guys were better, but
I think our guys.
That one's better. That's also overlooked, was America's involvement in Manchuria during the late 30s.
Yeah, a whole volunteer, like a whole volunteer fleet, or whatever you call them, wing or whatever. They were known because they painted the shark face on the side of the planes.
Yeah.
The Mustang's beautiful. The Zero's beautiful. The Lightning is a weird looking bastard, but apparently it was really good. And the Spitfire's a cool looking plane too.
Yeah, the P-47 Lightning is like one of the most durable planes in that time.
But for World War II, there's something about a BF-109. It looks like a flying shark.
I'd say prettiest. You're missing one of the prettiest in that, and that is the Corsair. I love my Corsair.
The Corsair, Baba Black Sheep, right? That's what they were in. Yeah, we cycled pilots home. We trained the shit ton. Well, that's why I always say the thing that made us win the war, no matter what anyone says, is logistics.
Yeah, logistics.
Even if we had went to war with every country involved in the war, we probably could have won just through logistics.
Yeah.
I mean, if we had went to war, say we were mad with the Russians would have fell by 43. We were giving them all of the food, all their coats, all their boots. Like, we were giving them tanks while they were getting their shit together. So, and Stalin is even quoted as saying that America is a great country that builds things, and without them, we would have lost this war. Yeah, that was Stalin. So, and some people ask, why didn't we build a heavier tank than the Sherman?
We didn't need it.
It was all based on how many tanks you could put in a transport.
Yeah. I mean, if we have to ship it out there, why do we need a bigger tank?
That was the whole deal. The Sherman tank was like the ultimate compromise of 100 things.
Yep.
It's got to be super repairable in the field. It's got to be pretty good at what it does. It has to be a certain exact size and weight so you can shove, an extra couple into that transport ship. I mean, it's really an engineering marvel. People don't.
It was so much of an engineering marvel. Pretty much every nation in the war was using it.
Yeah, we gave some to pretty much everyone, including the Germans.
Yeah, the Germans were using it at certain
The
points.
Germans were using Shermans at a.
I wish we could have sold more shells to the Germans recently.
Well, yeah.
Mr. Burns has like 2 jokes about that, and we both sold shells to the Nazis, and we would have done more until they said no.
There was, I don't know if this is true or not, but a story I heard that during World War One, trains were passing between the lines, and like Western trains heading to Germany were full of ammo and shit, and German trains heading to the West were full of ammo and shit. Like, everyone was still selling each other trucks and ammo. And like one of the main vehicles the Germans in World War One was using was like old Fords or some shit.
Yeah. You know what I find hilarious though, James? Near the end of the war, our people just started stealing everything around just to keep the war machine going, including Germans. We stole German vehicles from German soldiers at the time, just to keep going forward. The mafia,
when I used to be big into World War II gaming, yeah, I'd seen where they offer you like modeling tips, and there's like a KV-1, but the red star's marked off, and it's got like a Finnish symbol on it, because I guess the Finns used to steal the shit out all the Soviet equipment they could get their hands on.
Well, yeah, during not the continuation war, but the first war with the Russians, they ended with more more weaponry than they started with.
Yep, Shellback, that's true. They had whole groups of people whose only job was to switch out the labels on cans so that the Soviet frontline troops didn't know they were eating American food. So they were literally counterfeiting labels to put on our cans to keep morale up, I guess, because I don't know if the Soviets knew that everything they ate was American.
I think they would have revolted. They would have been like, what?
I don't know. They were already pretty revolting.
No, I mean they would have revolted as in
I
they would
know,
have.
that's from a movie with Mel Brooks in it.
Yeah.
Sir, the peasants are revolting. I know, they stink on ice or some shit, he says. Yeah, I was Timmy, I keep forgetting that you're like 30. Yeah, chose illiterates to do the work. Well,
A lot of the Russian soldiers back then in World War One were illiterate. That's why we don't even have a really good perspective from somebody who survived the war back then, at the early Eastern Front War, who actually kept an account or a log about it. They're just very few and far between.
yeah, even during World War II, most of what we know about the Eastern Front come from German field commanders.
Well,
Because the Russians just didn't write. It just wasn't a thing.
to be fair,
Didn't know how.
they were just getting out of a peasant, still just kind of getting out of the peasant kind of.
Yeah, look how that
setup.
worked out for them.
Yeah.
Millions dead, the country in shambles. I always, when I talk about World War II and World War I and stuff, I always try to differentiate between what I'm talking about Russians and Soviets, because I don't think they're the same people.
Yeah, you're right. I really wish.
But then
that, like,
again, I've read too much Dostoevsky and Solzhenitsyn, so I'm probably on a list with the government.
Yeah.
Because if you read 300 Years as Neighbors or the Gulag Archipelago, Part 1 and 2, you quickly find out exactly who the communists were and their hatred for the Russian people. They absolutely hated your average Russian. Stalin was not Russian. He barely spoke Russian.
Yeah.
he had to learn or practice his Russian so he could give speeches. And even then, he sounded.
Hey, wasn't he like Georgian or something like that?
He's Georgian. He's a Turk.
Yeah.
So, and that was the issue, is when Ivan, who was known as Ivan the Great before Russia, before Stalin started calling him Ivan the Terrible, when he basically destroyed the Tartars and the Khazars and, took over the steppes just north of the Black Sea and the, what's that other sea over there? Caspian, is it? Anyway, basically he destroyed the people of the Caucasus, and he made all of that Russia, and then he took those people and he scattered them amongst what they called hodls throughout modern day Belarus, Western Russia, and modern day Ukraine. But those people, they never ever were Russians. They refused to integrate. Even to this day, if you go on X, there's Tartars demanding a return of their land. And it's like,
let it go.
You're a freaking Asian. So how about you get out of Europe and go back to Asia? There's a Tartan woman. She says she's Tartan or Tartar. She is constantly bitching that Crimea belongs to the Tartar and that they should be given it back. And it's like, but you don't understand. You're Asians. You invaded from China. So how about you just go back to China? Right?
Yeah, I had a professor in college who was from Russia, and he was definitively Chinese. Looking like, I was like, this is the weirdest thing ever, but okay. I'll just roll with it because I know they go deep over there. But like, this like ancient BS of like, oh, it's our historical land. Let it go. All right. I think you said something about how Ukraine is just as much Russia as Utah is to the United States. I mean, you had Vladimir the Great convert to Christianity in Sevastopol, correct?
Yeah. Well, it wasn't Sevastopol. It was near it. But yeah. Basically in Crimea, though, I think the name of the actual city was Cirsus or something. But for all rights and whatever, yes. And they've got a giant statue of him in Sevastopol.
Giant statue of Vladimir the Great. Catherine the Great, during, was it Pachomsky? She had a very famous general who fought a brilliant war to kick the Muslims out of that end of Europe around the time of George Washington.
Then Peter the Great was involved at some point too. I think before Catherine, Peter might have been involved.
And the way I look at it is, if you're bad, I mean, the Europeans have had trouble with the Muslims all the way up until 1678, the Battle of Vienna. Was that what it was?
Yeah.
And if you were a country and you were able to beat the Muslims out of your part of Europe and take it from them, you get to keep that part of Europe.
I tend to be just like you, even though it's painful that means I would have to accept that Anatolia is theirs. But the reality is exactly what you said. If an army takes a bunch of land and they can keep it.
And they kept it. And so you go from the time of George Washington with Ukraine being Russian, basically, all the way up to the First World War, they're speaking Russian at that point.
Well, they still are.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
It's like you've seen that movie, The Wild Geese, where they bring up that issue with what is an African? And the white South African basically tells this black dude that they're saving, who's a diplomat, that they had to get him out of there, but they didn't want to get government red tape, so they hired mercenaries to do it. He tells this dude, I'm as African as you. My great great grandfather, my grandfather's grandfather basically was born here. He died here. My great grandfather was born here. He died here. My father was born here. He died here. And now I'm dying in Africa myself. I'm as African as you are.
Well, I mean, as Americans, that's an especial kind of thing too, because if you listen to some people, no matter how long we're here, we'll never be Americans.
That's a whole load of bullshit. I think I mentioned today on stream the Zulus and the problems towards the end of the problems that Africa has with the Zulus and everything like that. And the reason why the British left the job half finished is because they wanted to turn the Zulus into taxpayers and wage earners, because somebody had to mine the diamonds out of the De Beers mines. That was the deal that was made with what they were going to do with those people. There's a book called The Dust Rose Like Smoke that's about the Zulu War, and about the same time over in America, we had the American Sioux War. And our goal for the Sioux was, we don't care what you do, as long as you become tax-paying Christian farmers. That was it. That's what we want. That was our vision for the Sioux. But yeah, do whatever you want, but we need you to be tax-paying Christian farmers.
And Shellback, then the winged hussars arrived. Right, Sabaton, coming down the mountainside. Yes, this is some weird stuff that everybody used to know, but no one talks about now. When you get to humans, there are literally like maybe hundreds of ethnicities, but if you go far enough back, there's actually 3. And it's the Asiatic, African, and Europeans.
Abo's the other one. It's actually 4.
What's the other one?
So it's Abonoid, Negroloid, Mongoloid, Caucasoid.
What's the 4th one then? Like Aborigines and
Aboriginals or something. I know enough Australians through my dealings on YouTube that some of them just consider them Denisovians. They're not human. They're Denisovians.
You know, it wasn't until the 80s that Australia actually granted the Aborigines human rights and recognition.
And now look at them. God, you got these. You have like literal like Aboriginals coming on. This is my land now, and then like the government shows up and says you have to move because of the sacred tree bullshit and everything.
Yeah, they so okay, even assuming then or adding that 4th one in, those are then the 4 root groups that basically every human comes from.
Right.
And a lot of it is where there's crossover. So anywhere the Asiatic people crossed over with the European people, you're going to have shit tons of like admixtures and all kinds of stuff going on. And the same with where the Europeans cross over with Africans. I mean, there's a lot of intermingling and stuff like that. So, you know, and plus, while I won't sit here and argue pro-evolution, I will say, though, that creatures absolutely adapt to their environment. So, you know, if you stick a bunch of frickin' cavemen on Ireland and it's wet and swampy and shitty all day, they eventually just get used to that. And you know, because what's it called? It's sexual preference. Whoever is found the most attractive within a society, over time, that's what the society will be. You know, that's just the way it is. Because they're the ones getting laid. And the kids are going to look like them, hopefully. And if that goes on enough generations, you can have a whole tribe go from brown-haired to blonde-haired. Just over time, you know? It's kind of cool. Just Japan mistreated the Ainu. Dude, everyone mistreated somebody. So that's another one that I don't worry too much about.
Like when the whole stolen land thing comes up with my dad, and like I said if the Goshutes wanted the valley, they would have fought harder for it. But unfortunately, they were literally next to retarded, and Mormons showing up and showing them how to farm and give them and how to use animal husbandry rather than sit in a grove, eat the grouse birds and the berries, and then move to the next grove. You know, they were better off. But you go
Well-
down south, you encounter the Navajo, and you start to look at some of the graves out there, and you know what it'll say at the bottom of the tombstone: killed by Navajo raiders.
Well, that one tribe they talk about, the Anasazi,
Anasazi.
and then they found out through archaeology that those boys was cannibals, like straight up eating people.
Yeah, the
That
old
was
one.
funny because I remember that from King of the Hill.
Yeah, when Bobby decided to learn more about native culture,
Yeah,
and freaking Redbird or whatever was all happy.
John Redcorn. He was like,
Redcorn's all happy, and then Bobby rolled in and started talking about how the Anasazi were eating people.
It's like, no, John.
"We never." Studies will show that we didn't do that for 400 years. Yeah, but you're angry at the white man for doing something in their history. Why can't we be
Right.
mad at your people for doing this in their history?
Yeah, I read a thing about it. Hey, what's up, Doc?
Hey, gents.
They figured out how they figured out Anasazi were eating people is they kept finding rooms full of bones that were all like uniform in length. And they were like, why is it that all of these dudes keep getting buried together with their skeletons all mixed up, mind you?
Yeah,
But all
with
of
the
long
femurs
bones-
cracked down the middle to get the marrow out, which no
all the
animal
long
does.
bones are no more than 6 inches long.
Yeah, a huge that whole Central American area in the Carib, which the Caribbean is named after, were cannibals. That there was like insane shit going on. That it's everywhere near the equator. Hot weather makes people fucking nuts. That's
I
why so
think
many
you're right.
serial killers are from Florida and Southern California.
Maybe so.
No,
Yeah.
Bundy was from the Pacific Northwest, where it gets really depressive because you don't see
Yeah.
the sun.
Yeah,
Right.
that's
But he
the
moved to
other
Florida to have a good time.
Oh, I
Yeah.
caught your stream earlier. That was awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So, had a couple people drop in and say hi. Nerdy Ogre dropped in for a second.
You mean Nerdy Goblin?
Nerdy Goblin. I haven't seen him in forever. A couple people have dropped by. That's nice. We were just rambling. But, I mean, I named the thing Ask a DM something. But then I think the question that got asked was about some shit with World War II or something. And we went off.
As will happen.
Went off to random points of history and time all the time.
Exactly, Shellback. Why are all those bones that long? Because that's how wide the cooking pots were. So the bones had to be cut down so that you could fit into the cooking pot.
Yeah.
That sounds like something an ogre would do. Oh, they club, so you go down south, the Anasazi clubbed you and ate your bones.
Yeah. Yeah.
And another thing
And
that
then they
really
try to pull
bothers
this
me.
bullshit about how there's no such thing as an American on stolen land. We stole it from cannibals.
The other thing about the stolen land, Clovis First has been utterly disproved. There was people here at least 10,000 years before the first ancestors of the Indians arrived, and they disappeared around the time they did. I wonder what happened there.
Well, I mean, we know it's like when certain people, like the Lakota Sioux, they bitch about the Black Hills. Oh, you asked about
Baseball.
Hyperborea. Hyperborea is the greatest setting ever. People forget that when the Sioux were forced out of the Northeast by the Ojibwa, mainly because the British gave the Chippewa or Ojibwa, whatever we want to call them today, a shit ton of guns and taught them how to use it, right? They immediately went after the Lakota, drove them south, and the Lakota immediately exterminated the actual tribe that lived near the Black Hills when they got there. So it's like, oh, you're bitching about the Black Hills? Don't worry about it. I mean, he asked about Hyperborea while you were showing off. Oh, yeah. Ask me anything you want to know about Hyperborea, Nerdy Ogre. I'll tell you to the best of my experience,
Yeah,
which will be pretty good because,
Yeah, the Iroquois were one of the great slaving nations of history.
Well-
It does these people like no honor to lie about them and make them into this hippy dippy bullshit fantasy.
I've told you that I had to wake my mom up to that shit. She went through most of her life with the noble savage, didn't fight war, didn't own the land, bullshit. And then I like introduced her to actual history.
And now they got a movie like Bone Tomahawk, which I'm going to have to review this month.
Bone Tomahawk, that's probably what it was more like.
No, the Apaches, I know that they have a word for it. They did. There was a tribe down in between the Apaches territory, the Comanche territory, that they called the People Eaters. And the Apache and Comanche wiped them out every chance they got.
Well, what's funny too is if you dig into that whole kerfluffle, you find out that the Comanches, on multiple occasions, attempted to genocide the Apaches. I don't even mean conquer. I mean like the great Comanche chiefs would get together and say, "Go in there and kill every one of them," and then the Apaches would have to flee and hide in the hills and the mountains and shit. Because I mean, and that's the thing about when people say Texas belonged to Mexico, and it's like, actually it didn't. There was a giant nation state there, ruled over by the Comanche. And at no point did the Mexican Empire ever exert control over those guys. It's like the whole reason they invited Americans into what is modern day Texas is they were hoping we would wipe the Comanches out, which, you know, we did. But like the government down in Mexico City could not deal with these Comanche. They were just better fighters. So megafauna never disappeared in Hyperborea.
The Apache, they gave the Comanches a run for their money every chance they had, though. I mean, there's a reason.
They were going back. Don't get it. No, don't get it twisted, Holy Diver. It wasn't just all one way.
But there's a reason. If I have to run into battle at Blue Helmet guys, I'm yelling Geronimo if I can Spartan kick one off a cliff.
Right. No, the Apaches were wonderful at what they did, which was sneak up in the middle of the night and steal your shit and murder you in your sleep and maybe drag your women off. And the Comanche we're not big fans of that.
That's I actually like that. So here you go. This would be a good Far Side cartoon. Apaches in the current year sneak up on Americans while they're camping, pose them up doing gay things in their sleep, and then steal your shit.
Take pictures and then yeah, in the olden days, the Apaches were known for creeping around at night, messing a fool up. So the magic system is basically a Vancian magic system, but there's only 5 levels of magic instead of up to 9 or whatever. And but there tend to be a little bit more spells per level. And in addition, instead of having mage and illusionist, there's, I guess, about 6 or 7 classes that have their own unique and distinct spell lists. So like the necromancer spell list is totally different than the pyromancer, you know, and cleric magic is also considered to be a form of sorcery. It's not 100% sure if the clerics are actually granted magic by the idiots they worship, or if it's their faith in the idiots they worship that get it. It's weird, right? Because in Hyperborea, the vast majority of the deities that are worshipped, including the most popular one, could literally give 3 shits about you at all. So it's like, you know, the most popular god in Hyperborea is Tasagwa, the god of sloth and death and rebirth and stupid shit. So, you know, I guess if you made a priest, because a priest is different than a cleric, maybe the deity has, you know, it's weird. I mean, if you get into the religious system of Hyperborea, it is a huge hodgepodge of everything that may have existed on Earth right up until Charlemagne, and everything Conan or R.E. Howard, H.P. Lovecraft, and Clark Ashton Smith ever invented. And that is the religious system. So you could play Hyperborea as a Christian if your character background was Carolingian Frank. But in the book, it says most of them have given up Christianity and went back to their pagan roots, but not all of them. You could be Orthodox if your character is a Varangian that fought for the Byzantine Empire and ended up in Hyperborea, because about half of the population just ended up there within the last couple centuries or so. And in the book, it says currently they're having a massive influx of Romans just showing up, like imperial Romans too, not Republic, not like modern day on a Vespa, but like the eighth Legion has showed up in Hyperborea.
That's funny. The 8th? I thought it was the 9th that was missing in the forests.
He wrote 8th in the book. I thought the same thing, and maybe we're both right. He also wrote that polar bears were the least aggressive of bears.
Oh, shit, man.
And I'm sitting here thinking he had to do that on purpose.
He did it to mock you.
Maybe polar bears in Hyperborea are super sweetie pies, but not in real life. They'll get you. But, so
like
yeah.
Like, okay, so my niece, I was up in the forest. She wonders why I always carry a fanny pack. Because they go up to the cabin from time to time when I'm there. I always have a fanny pack. And she's all like, why do you always have your fanny pack on whenever you go around? And I'm like, because I carry my gun in there. She's like, you don't own a gun. So I pull the handle out and show it to her. She's like, oh my God, why do you even need that? Moose. I can't think of a worse way to get killed than by being stomped on by a moose. And they're all over the Cottonwood Canyons.
Yeah. Stomped flat by 1,000+ pound freaking deer.
It was the 9th Hispania that went missing.
So.
And where'd they go missing?
They went missing in the Teutoburg Forest. There was another one that disappeared somewhere in Britain, too. But I'm having trouble finding out which one it was.
Yeah, I knew there was one that went missing. I always thought,
Hyperborea
9th in Teutoburg.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Holy Diver.
So it was the 9th in Teutoburg was the one I knew about. But I
Wasn't there a
also
legion that got sent to Asia?
The 9th Roma went missing in Britain. It was the the 7th Roman.
The 7th Roman, making 9 and 7 very unlucky numbers.
Yeah, the one that disappeared in Britain was when Caesar first tried to invade Britain, and then very quickly just thought the better of it.
He was right. Caesar was right. They were the most ignorant people he'd ever met. And he's like, we don't need this place. Let it go.
Yeah. I remember reading, and one of you guys can correct me or not, that some emperor sent a legion to carry the eagle to the farthest east, and then that legion vanished.
I don't know about a legion ever going past India.
I just remember hearing that. I don't know if it's true.
By then, the Silk Road was getting started, and there was the trade going back and forth for goods and stuff like that. But right. I don't know. I mean, I literally think that if Alexander's army didn't crap out on him, he probably would have taken over all of China. China was 6 different kingdoms at the time, and they were all fighting against one another big time. And they wouldn't. And I know for a fact that at that time, they never would have thrown their differences aside.
The Klingon.
There was a Roman embassy in China at one point. So they definitely did have contact. They had been.
I get that. I get that, Shellback. I get what I see what you're saying there. There is a religion like that in Hyperborea, Nerdy Ogre. It is the religion of Khmer, who is mostly worshipped by the Khmerians. And their actual religious belief is the day you came out of your mother, Krimmer granted you with all the gifts you would need to survive, so leave him the F alone.
So Krimmer gave me nothing. He gave me nothing.
No, he gave you will and muscles. The rest is up to you.
I'm
baby.
only 5'9". I can't even get a date.
Well,
I'm like
that's
that.
the thing, though. It's up to you.
I'm like that guy on True Lies, the used car salesman. I don't score much. My name is Melvin.
Oh yeah, that was
Bill Paxton.
Bill Paxton getting jacked up.
Unable.
Schwarzenegger black bagged his ass. Yeah, but anyway, so like the Cimmerians, which were based on the Cimmerians, kinda, and Crom, which is an Irish demon that they used to sacrifice children to, versus Krimmer, they both believe that when you're born, the gods give you everything you need, so get to it.
All right.
So yeah, that's why in the movie Conan prays once. It's not even like a real prayer. He's just kind of asking Crom to watch, and he even says it doesn't matter if we're good men or bad. What matters is that few stood against many.
Yeah.
And then if you don't listen, to hell with you. But the Cimmerians in real life probably got integrated into the 90 other tribes that would end up being called Celts. But they did get driven west by the Scythians, which is another tribe that probably in the course of time become Slavs, not Celts, Slavs. And then the Kurgan, who are 100% real. So that Highlander guy, yeah, they're also another tribe that probably become Slavs. And there is an oblast in Russia right now called Kyrgyzstan. And it's supposedly those people.
I'm gonna have to send you this before when I get a chance. There's a preview trailer of Joe Jackson and being a father of the Jackson 5, and it's just him trying to take his belt off to whip the kids.
That's funny, but
It's not. I have to actually be on the app to share it. I'm on my PC right now.
It's funny, but not in a good way.
There's this scene where he's like, "God damn it, Tito! I freaking told you."
So they must have based Grandpa off of Joe Jackson.
Yeah.
Granddad, because he's always pulling that belt out, whipping the shit out of those badass kids. I like that one where he's in the grocery store and this white woman's there and her kid is being a menace. And Granddad walks up and says, "Here's what you do," and explains how to whip a kid. And the mom whips her ass and the kid shuts up. And the mom's like, "I didn't know you could do that." Granddad's like, "Yeah." It's like this whole thing.
They use that joke from a show called Titus where the guy shows a woman how to beat her kids and then they ended up getting married and divorced afterwards.
Well, there's also the one from South Park, like the cure to ADHD.
Yeah, sit down and study.
The guy just smacks the shit out of the kids and says, "Shut up and study."
Well, all right. My miniature is painted, so I'm out, and I appreciate the invite, and you guys have a good rest of your Sundays.
And you too, sir.
Take
All
care,
right.
sir.
Thanks for having me. Bye.
Bye. Yeah. Shut up and study. Shut up and study. When he gets to the third one, the kid, you don't even have to hit that kid. He just opens the book and starts studying. So that's the smart kid. He saw the two kids get their asses whipped and decided he didn't want any part of that. Now, in Hyperborea, you do have a caster level, and your caster level does play a part in certain things. Casters, as they level, they get a caster level. So anytime a spell says does number times whatever, most of the time it's your caster level. And the reason that's important is because hybrid mages do not get the caster level as they level up at the same rate. So if you have a warlock, which is a fighter mage, and you have a magician, and they're both level 7, and they both cast a fireball, the magician is doing 7 dice 6 damage. The warlock is probably doing 4 dice 6. Because, you know, and the same works for fighting ability. So your bonus to hit is your fighting ability. Fighters get +1 to their fighting ability every level, but other classes do not. So again, you got 2 10th level guys, a fighter versus a rogue type, or even the same warlock, and they're attacking something. Well, actually, I think the warlock is okay, but they're attacking something, the thief and the fighter. The fighter gets +10 because he's 10th level and his fighting ability is 10th level. The thief probably gets +5. So that's a big one. Yeah, you're still alive, right? I haven't decided if my character... Well, no, I did decide. The Roman I made that I play in the online game is devoted to Mars, which is like the good guy version of Ares. You know, because Mars is more about militant competence and shit, and Ares is about skinning your enemies and making tents out of their hides.
Yeah, Ares in the Greek religion is very much a coward. He's always
He is a murderous
shit.
coward. Of course, he always ran to his mom every time he got in trouble. He was always banging Hephaestus's wife. And he didn't give a shit about tactics or anything. He only cared about bloodshed. That's why they had Athena. She was the goddess of military tactics. And Ares was the god of berserk rage and freaking bloodshed. And of course they exist in Hyperborea. The Greek gods do. They're actually in Hyperborea. So, but the most popular god is a giant furry bat sloth toad monster that lives deep underground, and if you ever encountered it, there's basically a 50-50 shot on whether he eats you or just lets you go. Just depends on his mood at that exact moment. If he's in a certain mood, he'll just grab you up and eat you, or he might just watch you until you leave. And you wouldn't attack him because there's literally zero chance in hell that you could actually do anything. You know, it'd be like, you know, it'd be like a flea attacking a freaking elephant. You know, the elephant would probably not even notice it. So, and Ares also lives deep under Hyperborea, where he is guarded by 4 demons that guard his realm. And for whatever reason, he is worshipped under the name Thaumagoria. But it is, in fact, Ares. But Apollo is worshipped under the name Apollo. But see, Hyperborea was originally on the North Pole of our great planet. And it was originally peopled by giant albinos that lived a very long time. And Apollo lived with them. And at some point, there was a great cataclysm. And Thesagua took all the Hyperboreans to live with him on Saturn. So then, also, probably Thesagua, but who knows, shifted the continent of Hyperborea, which was being destroyed, through time and space and put it in orbit around Saturn. And then he put the Hyperboreans he'd had living on Saturn back on it, and they built a giant empire. And then at some point, the Green Plague happened, and it destroyed 90% of all humanity. So the Hyperboreans withdraw and become like a lot more primitive and everything like that. And of course, during the time all this is happening, different brands of humans are showing up from old Earth. And by the time the Hyperboreans finally had basically had enough babies and shit to actually do stuff, their empire was gone. It long since been overrun by what the Hyperboreans would call subhumans or lesser humans. And so in Hyperborea, to this day, the Hyperboreans are still a little bit tetchy about that. They're not huge fans of the fact that their city that they built, Comorium, is currently being ruled over by just common humans. That's not something they're big fans of, but there's nothing they can do about it. So they're kind of like super supremacist. Like, not all of them, but in general, they definitely consider Hyperboreans to be the actual real owners of all the land and everything. They just can't do anything about it. There's not enough of them, you know. On the other hand, they do live to be like 350 years old or more. And they are, on average, 7 to 8 feet tall. But unfortunately, they tend to have corpse-like appearances, be pale, and have purple eyes, and have hair that can range from white to a golden blonde, except women. The female Hyperboreans will occasionally have black hair. And no one knows why. But occasionally you'll get a female Hyperborean with black hair. Or red hair, even. Now, during all this great time, you've had all these tribes from Earth that have been thrown through time and space to inhabit Hyperborea. Some died out, some didn't. And then a lot of them mixed in with each other. So in addition to actual cultures, you have the common man. And the common man is just a human, like you or I. A common man could say, well, I'm 40% Roman and maybe 12% Celtic and whatever, you know? Or you could be a straight up Celt, like Vercingetorix, running around with your weird coffins type shield and a spear. Or you could come from one of the Greek cities. They're not actually cities, they're barely towns, but everyone there is Greek. They all follow the Greek culture, and they're trying like hell to reproduce as fast as possible because they don't want to go extinct, right? And then the latest thing is, in the current year of Hyperborea, like I said, Romans have just been showing up in places where there were no Romans before, claiming to be members of these different legions and shit like that. And also, because they're Romans, you know, building towns and forts and wiping everything out in the region and supposedly trying to build the city of Nova Roma. But no one's actually written whether they'll succeed at that or not. But yeah, so that's kind of the thing. So you can't play demi-humans at all, but you can play any kind of human you want, pretty much. Including like Finns, Siberians, Russians, or Slavs, I should say. Or just straight up, just put human on your character sheet and don't worry about it. The main difference is the human gets to start with the common tongue and maybe one other tongue. But if you play like a Roman, you start with Latin and then you have to take the common tongue. You know, because everyone you run into will not be speaking Latin. So that's kind of it. That's how the humans are. The monsters are truly monstrous. And a lot of them are, like whoever talked about the megafauna dying out, they didn't on Hyperborea. So mammoths, woolly rhinos, various kinds of carnivorous cat, carnivorous types of apes, all of that shit that used to live during the Ice Age exists and is 100% out to get your ass. In addition to the magical creatures that are also 100% out to get your ass, like orcs. Orcs are one I talk about a lot because they're
Pig-faced orcs?
They're pig-faced orcs, and they're pig-faced because they're the spawn of pig demons. The Devil Swine from the original D&D has made an appearance in this game, and they could charm up to 3 people, right? Well, what happens when a Devil Swine charms 3 Pictish women and has children with them? Pig-faced orcs who worship Ares, mostly, sometimes Mortizan, and run amok. So I still want to, one of these times, I'm looking forward to Double D dropping in so that I can talk shit to him about his Imperial Guard army versus mine. But I don't know. So there you go, Nerdy Ogre. Now you've learned more than you actually asked. Yes, it's Vancian, but there are some differences, but not really. At the end of the day, the system is basically just a better, well-written, well-thought-out AD&D or basic. So anybody picking up Hyperborea and expecting it to be some magical new game that they've never played before, such as, like a Rollmaster type game or something, you're not going to be happy. I mean, it is D&D, basically. But it's D&D that decided to just do a lot of shit different. And as I've said a billion times, game rules aren't important to me anyway. The thing that's the most important to me is setting. I mean, I've ran against the Dark Master. I've ran every version of D&D. I've ran Rollmaster, which is against the Dark Master, RuneQuest, Star Frontiers, Gamma World. Anyway, the point is I've ran hundreds of games, and at this point, I don't care about game systems. For a game system, I want a game where I can easily know what I need to roll to do what I need to do. That's it. I'm not looking for some Brave New World type of shit. As a matter of fact, if I had my way, most games would just be like die 6 versus task number kind of shit. Like Traveler. I like Traveler. There's nothing wrong with the Traveler rules. If somebody can make Traveler work with a fantasy role-playing game, I'd be like, okay, that's cool. You
probably could. Probably just
yeah, people have. I'm just saying I've never picked up.
That's what Blood and Iron basically is. I mean, there's a good deal of differences in it, but it's basically that engine, more or less.
I have always, whether I said die 6 just cause, but I have always been a huge appreciator of a game that says, this is your target number, roll the die. Because it's like, that's just one step. You pick the die up and you roll it. If you got to add shit to it or not, whatever, you know whether you did the thing or not, right? Where Shadowrun F's up is it says, roll 20 dice and then pick out all the 5s. So now you've created 2 steps. Because step 1, you got to roll a shit ton of die, and then 2, you got to pick out successes, and then 3, you got to compare the successes to the target number. So why do that? Why not just get rid of that? You can roll a bunch of dice, but you need successes on those dice. That is the stupidest shit.
Well, people were always trying to get cute with dice mechanics to make it like stand out. And simpler is better.
My favorite saying, keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah. If I were in charge, somehow Catalyst Games called me and said, hey, we're going to make another Shadowrun. How do you do it? I would say, hey, you ever read West End Games Star Wars? Like that. See, because I'm not opposed to rolling a handful of dice 6s, right? But at the end of the day, I don't want to look for certain numbers. I want to add them together. So if they're like, well, the target number is 32, And I'm like, well, I got 7 dice 6. Let's give it a shot. Maybe you got exploding die in there, right? And you roll your die, and if you get the 32, you did it. Done.
Kind of like White Wolf.
No, White Wolf, dude, 7+ for a success.
Yeah, no, but still, it's.
So it's the same problem as Shadowrun. Roll 10 damn
Oh,
dice.
yeah,
They're
you're
only
right.
7s.
What
Never mind.
have you said? What is the difference? Do you know between the first and second edition of the West End Star Wars?
I think the second edition changed around some stuff involving the Force, and they kind of maybe simplified a couple of things. But I've only ever read it. I've never played it. Whereas I played the shit out of first edition, and I've never had a problem.
See, this is a game I want to pick up and look at, but they're so fucking expensive.
Yeah, you can get every single thing on PDF for free.
Oh, can you?
Yeah, absolutely. The guys who owned it put it all out for free. Every single thing. I'm talking like 100+ books. And bear in mind, during first edition, George Lucas was actually consulting with these guys about shit in Star Wars. You know what I mean? Some of the shit they wrote, Lucas used in his movies and books. So they had
Yeah,
their
they
shit
basically
together.
designed the expanded universe.
Right. They had their shit together. They knew what they were doing. And then they, I think if the stories are true, tried to go into super expensive Italian shoes and lost their asses. Added a luck feature. Yeah, I think you do roll 3 dice or whatever, a luck die.
I think I'm gonna head off here for now, though. I'll see you.
I'll see you too, Timmy.
Take care, Tim.
You drop it in, brother. So let me fix this. Yeah, I know it fixed a lot of stuff with the Force because the Force in first edition was, people complained about it a shit ton. I never really used it. Like, I might, if I thought the player was cool enough, let him play like a Force sensitive. But there were no Jedi in that era, unless you're playing some other era. It's like, yeah, there's no Jedi. And if you become too Force sensitive, too Force capable, then what happens if Vader senses you? You know? Because your group of player characters in Star Wars is not going to defeat Lord Vader when he shows up. Best case effort, he keeps you in his back pocket as an apprentice, training you to kill Palpatine. That's your best case scenario there. Because Vader was always looking for someone to help him kill Palpatine. That was, yeah, that was the thing. Because, you know, the rule of 2 and all that shit, right? Basically, the rules cyclopedia of Star Wars. So they must have added like a bunch of stuff from source books and stuff. Like I said, I never played it. I've read through it. It's I've never ran it. I've always ran first edition, and I've always been just incredibly happy with the way first edition worked. And it's pretty much roll a handful of dice 6s, add them together. Hey, RPG Dad, how you doing, homie? What's up? But yeah, with like Star Wars, you pretty much you roll the dice 6s and add them up versus the target number. It's couldn't be easier and it quick. So even though, and this is something PB and I have talked about, Paul, I have played a ton. Probably the second most played game in my life is Shadowrun. I have played Shadowrun for years at a time with some of my buddies back in the 90s and stuff. I have hated the Shadowrun rules since I started playing them because it's just needlessly stupid. You know, it's like there's no need for, you know, roll this and look for this number on the dice 6. Just roll the dice 6 versus a big target number. I hate that. Oh, you need 4 successes to get it. And think about this. I'm ranting a little bit, Doc. Excuse that. But
Yeah, quite all right.
what does that even mean in the English language? I need 4 successes to get a success. You see what I'm saying? I want to shoot the guy. He's at long range. I need 7 successes. Well, you would think if I succeeded one time, that would be enough. Right? Isn't that just basic English?
Yeah, it's just overcomplication. And
Right. But instead, I've got to roll 7 dice and hope that I get 5s and 6s or some shit. And then get enough of those so that the DM can say, well, you got 6 successes, so that means you succeed. And that is a sentence that makes no sense anywhere in the United States. So I hate that. Nerdy Ogre. You know what my first RPG is. You can guess. You can guess. I'm 55 years old. I started role-playing when I was 13, maybe between 13 and 14. Go ahead and guess. You already know. Everyone knows, because all of us Gen X bastards, when we started role-playing games, there was generally one. That was your choice of role-playing games. And you know, that was just how it was. Like you younger bros, or actually us older bros too, we are spoiled for choice. That's what the special dice are for. Oh my God. Showback knows how much I hate proprietary dice. And I bought into Fantasy Flight, L5R, and Star Wars big. And after a while, I got rid of them because I'm just like, I cannot be bothered. You know, like the player wants to roll something. Well, his attribute dice is a yellow 12. His skill dice is like a green 8-sider. But he gets 2 black squares because of something else. And then you roll them all and try and figure out what any of that shit means. I feel like the old woman in 13th Warrior that they call in front of Bovine and she casts the phone. It's like, what am I even doing here? Proprietary, yep. Okay,
Yeah,
that is the better question, Nerdy Ogre, because like I said, all of us Gen Xers, we got our freaking, for me, purple box, Mulvey Cook box sets, and we thought that was just the shit. And it was really, maybe Traveler existed, but there wasn't a big choice. My second game I ever played, and I will love it until the end of time, was Star Frontiers.
Star Frontiers is a good guy. I only got to play a very little of that. Well,
Star
I played
Frontiers.
one module, and it was really bad. The thing where you
The
crash
first
the
module
planet.
is horrible. The Abandoned on Viternus or whatever
Yeah.
is just trash. The little one that comes in a box set is better, where you got to fight some pirates and shit. I went through that phase because, again, my selections were not great, and my mom bought me my games. Where almost everything I got for like the first 4 or 5 years as a gamer was a TSR product. So that meant Gamma World 2nd edition, the best edition.
Yeah, I have that. I still have that.
Top Secret.
Top Secret is
already
awesome.
said Star Frontiers. Gangbusters. Let me tell you something. Hungar, myself, and Neighborhood Kids, we played Gangbusters for like a 6-month campaign. That was crazy. And those rules are so minimal. It's like, your firearm skill is 65. You're trying to shoot that guy. Okay. Roll a 65 or less on percentile die or some shit. And funny story about Gangbusters. This one kid that we hung out with was super into Bruce Lee shit, right? His first character he named Bruce Lee and said worked in a Chinese laundry, but was affiliated with the mob, right? By the time that campaign was over, he was on Bruce Lowe because his characters got killed, and he just kept making new characters and changing the last name, but it always started with an L. So he went from Bruce Lee to Bruce Lie to Bruce Lou to Bruce. I mean, he was going through all the Bruces because he's running around, Chinese guy, getting in a fight with other gang members, right? Except these other gang members are carrying like, Browning 9mm and shit. And he's just getting killed. See, there is a game out there that I have, but it's a war game, and it's called Baron's War, right? And in Baron's War, they use proprietary dice, but they put the actual number on the die too. So if it says to roll 10 dice and hope to not get skulls, well, guess what? It's got the skull on the die, and then it's got a number 1 under it. So you can use normal dice. You just know that 1 equals the skull. So yeah. Now, after a long time of me fussing and carrying on and finally doing summer jobs and getting my own money and shit, I bought the little black box. I know a lot of people want to say LBB is for original D&D, and they say little brown box. Those people can kiss my ass because it was a white box. The LBB since 1989 has always been the little black box that came with the 3 tiny little traveler books in it and a map of the Spinward Main. And I played a shit ton of Traveler. I love Traveler. Even currently today, I have all the modern 2300 shit. I love it. I'll never get to play it though, because my game group has decided that we're never playing anything ever again but Hyperborea. They told me that. So no switching games ever until I die. Until I drop that at that damn game table. We're playing Hyperborea. Okay, fine. I mean, if that's what you want, who am I to say no? And that sucks because my niece recently bought me the Arkham Horror role-playing game, and it's pretty awesome. It is pretty awesome. And it's simple, Doc. Let's say you want to shoot somebody, right? You look at your firearm skill. If it says 3+, you need a 3+ on a dice 6 to shoot someone. Now, there can be modifiers, but you get what I'm saying, right? What makes it special is at the beginning of your time, your character gets 6 dice 6. So when you want to do something, you decide how many dice 6 you want to roll. And then as long as you get at least 1 success, you do it. You see what I mean? If you want to run, you just give up a die. You don't got to roll. You just give up a die. That's a thing. So what that means is, if you're playing Librarian and your firearm skill is 6+, but you really, really want to hit something, roll 5 dice. Or just give up your die and run away. You can do that too, right? So it really does come down to roll a dice 6. Is the number bigger than your skill? And if the answer is yes, you succeed. The complication is, if you really need to do shit, you can roll multiple die and hope it ups the odds. See, I don't mind that. I don't mind that because at the end of the day, you need 1 success to succeed. And then if you get additional successes, you could spend them to do more damage or something. So, it's a deadly game because that die pool of 6 is also your health. So if somebody shoots you with 45 ACP and it does 2 damage, you lose those 2 dice. So from then on in combat, you start each round with 4 dice. And then when you hit 0 dice, your character's down and has actually been effed up and has taken a major wound.
I like systems like that. Like Forbidden Lands has a very interesting wound system where it just reduces your traits.
Right.
As you take damage. That's pretty interesting.
And that's Traveler. If you get hit in Traveler, the guy rolls the dice, and then you put the points on your attributes. And as long as you have no attribute hit 0, you're good. But then once you get 0, you're effed up, and 2 zeros is like unconscious, and 3 zeros is dead. They kind of did. And another thing, Shellback, is You know how in Mansions of Madness, if you've ever played Mansions of Madness, it's on the computer, but you're playing a tabletop game and the computer's running the game for you. You can encounter like these weird puzzles, and they're like slide things around to make a picture. And you only get so many moves, but if you make the picture, you succeed, right? The box set, the starter box for Arkham Horror comes with 2 of those, where you literally lay the frame down and put all the squares in, random, and then the players have to, based on their lore and shit, get a certain number of turns to slide them around until, you know, they make whatever. It comes with like, yeah, that's a great board game. It's expensive to get into, Mansions of Madness 2, because it's like $100, right? But you and your wife could play it, because it plays from 1 to 5, and the computer runs the scenario. So, like, you'll be in a room, which is a tile, and say there's a door. You move your character, and you punch in that you're opening the door. The computer will tell you what the next room is. And you just go through the tile stack and put that one down, and then it'll tell you what's in it. And then, you know, it keeps track of everything. So the only thing as a player you have to keep track of in Mansions of Madness is your health and sanity. Because if you lose either of those, you lose. And if one player loses, the whole group loses. So anyway. So Doc, how's about you, man? And yes, before I let you go, Nerdy Ogre, if I ever decide to play a Rifts game, I swear, if it is even at all possible, you will be the first to know. Or play, not run, play. If I ever decide to play a Rifts game, you will be the first to know. If I have to send Pony Express to Texas with a freaking letter to let you know.
Yeah, that's another game I've never played, was Rifts.
I played it once and it sucked, but I now realize it was the one running it. It was not the game. Because the guy basically threw the rule book down, and this is like first edition Rifts, and said, pick whatever you want. Yeah. No. Because Rifts is like 20 settings.
Yeah.
So what you would have to do if you're smart as the GM is you would put the book down and say, okay, we're playing the Texas-Mexican border, so pick shit from there. Which means you could be a vampire with a conscience. You could be vampire hunters. You could be maybe something from the coalition. And the whole game would be about killing all of the vampires that rule Mexico. Or maybe even fighting those bugs that are building giant termite mounds all over frickin' Oklahoma and shit. Or if you want to play a bunch of assholes, you could be fighting the coalition because, hey, why not kill the one group that's trying to save the earth? Yeah, I've got put up. They used to be out there. That's why I looked. I have everything for Arkham Horror. You can't see it, but I've got the deluxe book right there. And yeah, huge fan of that game. When my niece visits, she bought it for me. So when they got a name that starts with like an X. I can't pronounce that shit, but whatever. When my niece visits, we break out Arkham Horror. When my sister-in-law visits, we break out Mansions of Madness. And what's funny is they all claim they don't like H.P. Lovecraft and don't read his books. But they love those games. Like, I tried to get my wife to read some of my Lovecraft books. She's like, nope. She like quit after 1 or 2 stories. She's like, yeah, I can't read this shit. And I'm like, why? Well, I think she just doesn't care for the way he writes, the prose. And I guess I get that. I understand that, Some people you just, you just don't like the way they write. For me, it's Stephen King.
Yeah, I'm not a huge Stephen King person at all.
Oh, I'm not going to disagree and say that the leader of the coalition isn't after power. But you know what? Every polity is after power. Every single one. So the goal as a lobby, like I am in every setting, since I never get to be the king, is to pick the party that's after power, that's doing what I want. And in rifts, I want all of those assholes that come through the rift off of Earth. And if the coalition is the only group, well, plus the one in Russia or whatever, if they're the only ones that are running out there and wiping all those rift-born bullshits out, well, that's going to be my death spot. Sorry, it's the way it is. That is my political view on that. The coalition, to me, are the good guys. And people are like, well, you know, it's like, I'm glad they wrecked Tolkien. Fuck Tolkien. Nobody sent letters out through those rifts asking all those monsters to move to Earth. You know, they weren't invited. If anything, the coalition should start wearing ice vests because they're just trying to deport those assholes back through the rift. I'm 100% with that. Oh, you're an evil alien vampire with a hive mind and you rule over all of Central and Mexico and Central America? Well, you need to die. Sorry. That's just the way it is. You need to die. Oh, you're slavers that like to cruise around and enslave and do horrible shit? Yeah, you need to die. Then somebody will say, but what about that village full of elves in the middle of the forest minding their business? I don't know. Maybe let them live. Put them on a reservation. But everything else needs to die. The giant demon bugs building freaking termite mounds all over Oklahoma and everything need to die, every one of them. And anyone who's not on that list, that program of need to die, what if they were born here? Oh, so anchor baby vampires? Fuck them.
Anchor vampire.
They need to die. If you were not from Earth, you need to die. And that does open up a thing. How about the dinosaurs in Florida? I let them stay. I mean, you know.
Oh, that fucking whole fucking. I got into a huge thing with somebody at work about that. The whole like, it's so unfair to deport them. It's so cruel. They were born. Yes, that was incredibly cruel of their parents to put them in.
Oh
that
yeah,
position.
yeah. Well, the thing is,
it's not our problem though.
People
The whole
who are
thing.
trying
Oh, when
to-
you're arresting these people, you're separating them from their families. Yes, when you get arrested, you get separated.
As somebody
what
who
about
has
murderers?
been arrested a lot of times, they separated me from my family every time.
Yeah, unless you want to send them to jail too. We could do that, I guess. That seems.
Hey,
a little
Nerdy
weird.
Ogre, it's been so long since I've seen you. I'm just happy to see you, brother.
Later, Nerdy Goblin.
Later, you goblin. See, I call him an ogre, though. just to be nice. And I'll be like, you know, we all know you're a goblin, but I'll call you an ogre because you asked me to. See? It's that easy. But no, I've got into it with people about rifts. And it's the same argument you're saying, though, but it's about rifts. Because they're like, why do you want to play a Coalition Samus pilot? I'm like, because I want everything that's not human and earthborn dead. But why? Because it ain't supposed to be here. But why? Because they're terrible. You know, they're terrible. They're killing and eating humans and slaving shit, doing horrible shit. But we should just let them stay. No, fuck that. Roll up the Skullbots, get rid of these assholes. I'm sorry. And then the argument, well, the guy who leads the thing's practically an SDP and he's just doing it for power. Well, like I said, as long as our goals are the same, he can have the power. All I need is a rifle. We're getting rid of those ass, or like I said, a Samus suit. I love the Samus suits. They're the flying ones, you know. It looks like power armor with wings. Got like a freaking railgun mounted on that bitch. Turn a T-Rex into freaking hot dogs on the grill in no time. Zap. But anywho, yeah, I have never understood that. And I remember watching Legion of Myth once when they had the Rift creator on, and I actually paid to ask the question, why do you guys keep making the coalition the bad guys? And they went on to this whole thing, and it's like, I don't know if you know about rifts, but some of the shit in rifts is literal demons or demonic bug things that just want to destroy all life except them, or vampires that are actually like hive mind that want to destroy all. There's like a million things on the Rift's world that want to destroy all of everything that's not them. But the one that gets called the bad guys is the humans. And they're the only ones who actually have a right to want to destroy everything because it's their world. I also had a guy like get pissy with me at the comic shop over 40K because he was playing Tau. And he was of the more brown. He was playing Fishman,
They're freaking
and he was of the more browner skin persuasion. And I was playing Black Templars, and I was wrecking his ass. And I just made a comment like, "That's what every alien gets," And he's like, "But," and he started trying to make all these arguments. I'm like, "If it comes from another world and lands on this planet, kill it." Well, that's not cool. Tried to call me a bigot. I'm like, well, I'm a bigot then. I don't care. I mean, because when I play my war games, I go all in. So when you see me put the Blood Angels on the table, you know it's getting ready to be a way. And I never played. I played orcs like a couple times, but other than that, nah, I ain't play aliens. Fuck that. I do have a massive Death Corps Krieg army though. Got like 140 soldiers in it. No tanks.
Yeah, I like those guys. The World War I Germans. They're awesome.
Yeah, they're a mix. They've got World War I German gas masks, but World War I French jackets and World War I French helmets. But they have a German accent, and they're from Krieg. So the people who designed it basically just took Germans and French and combined the uniform and said, there we go, Kriegsmen. And most of them, when you see them on the battlefield, are around 15 years old. They start their military training around 10. And the ones that survive it, by the time they're 15, they're ready to go off. Cult of Mars, Iron Hands, Grey Knights. Well, playing Iron Hands Shellback, you might as well just be playing the Cult of Mars, right? I mean, they're the one Space Marine Legion that's super into like the Omnissiah and the Machine Spirit and all that. Like some of the other Marines actually kind of have like slightly negative opinions about the Iron Hands because of how into the Omnissiah they are. See, because there's that weird little thing where half the Space Marines do not believe the Emperor is God. Half do. So there's some friction. And then there's a few of them, Iron Hands being a big one, and any of their successors or whatever, they believe in the machine spirit. And then it's, do they believe the machine spirit is its own independent God? Or do they believe the machine spirit is an incarnation of the Emperor? And a lot of your Martian tech priests will say the second, whether they believe it or not, just because they don't want to get ran down by a bunch of crazed imperial priests and murderated, And then the Empire, they kind of turn a blind eye to it, like the higher up imperial guys, because guess what? They need all the machinery that the Martians are making desperately. So the worst thing that could happen for the imperial forces would be some kind of weird holy war between the forces of the Imperium and the forces of Mars. So yeah, you kind of gotta deal with that. And yes, that is the Iron Hands motto. Flesh is weakness. And as a result, every Iron Hand Marine, once they become an actual Marine, they remove their right hand and replace it with a cybernetic hand. And then as time goes on, they'll just add more. And of course, the priests of Mars, some of those assholes, the only thing left that was them is maybe their brain. They are 100% cybernetic organisms, you know, like Belisarius Cawl. I don't even know how much meat is left of that guy, because he's downloaded his consciousness into like cognitators and shit. He may actually literally be some kind of AI robot at this point. Yes, there was during the Horus Heresy, the Mechanicum and the Dark Mechanicum threw down, and it was not a good time for anybody. It was bad times for everybody. And for my Legions Imperialis war game, because I have it, the epic scale one, I have a Dark Mechanicum army full of those like spider tanks and shit like that. Really cool. I like it. But of course, my main army is my Blood Angels. Because, you know, Blood Angels, Sanguinius. Sanguinius is the best.
I'm partial to them because that was where I first encountered them in the Space Hulk. It was Blood
Right.
Angel.
Yeah, you got the Space Hulk that probably had, if you were lucky, you got the one that had all the Terminators in it. They're bad. Like all the named Terminators, Brother Captain Lucius. And because for some reason, the Blood Angels, even though they come from like a culture that could not be further away from Roman, when they become Blood Angels, they all take like Roman names. And as a Blood Angel enjoyer since about 98, maybe 96, I can't tell you why that is. But, you know, like, what's his name? Dante, the current chapter master of the Blood Angels, his real name was like Cariel or something. But when he became a Blood Angel, he had to take his new name and he became Dante. And they all do that, you know. It's like, my name is Larry, but now that I'm a Blood Angel, I'm going to become, you know, Scipio Africanus or some shit.
Hilarious.
Yeah. I also...
Robicus.
Right. Biggest dicks. Oh, the guys are laughing. Where are you guys laughing? See, Shellback. I need to do what RPG Grandpa said and do a little like show and tell one of these days. But I haven't even gotten to paint these guys yet because I'm working on shit. But if you look at the shelf behind me, like up at the top, that's one of the big War Master Titans. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 6 Warhounds, 3 Reapers, and then this guy. I think this is a Warlord, and that's a War Master. So yeah, for the Titanicus game. But of course, oh, there's another Warlord. You can use them in Legion Imperialis. They're just super expensive, you know. So I like to play my Blood Angels, and I like to play them as like air mobile. So I own a couple of Thunderhawks and some of the like Storm Crows and shit like that, because my whole deal is quick insertion onto the table via aircraft. That's kind of the thing, you know. And then the Dark Mechanicum army is super basic. It's a bunch of freaking spider tanks with herder cruxes or whatever they're called, which are some kind of robot, and then a couple of dark tech priests to keep everything together. And that's pretty much it, man. So that army, when I put it on a table, it just looks like a mob of robot spiders crawling across the table, being supported by some weird little things full of cables and shit. So yeah. And 40K, the only army I didn't sell, because I've been talking about how I sold all my 40K stuff. The only 40K army I didn't sell was my Imperial Gun. I couldn't do it. I was just too freaking attached, you know. Oh, Titanicus was the name. All I know about the Civil War is in the rule book that I have that goes into the Dark Mechanicus, and you know how they sell the like, yeah. So everything I know about it is from that, you know. And it basically come down to, I guess Horus went to one of the big tech Magos guys, which is like the leaders of them, and promised that they could use all this technology that the Emperor had said they weren't allowed to use. So they signed on board and decided to start working for the rebellion, because if there's one thing that 40K has remained constant about, it is that a technomancer, a tech priest, whatever, will sell your ass in a second if they think they can learn the tiniest bit of technology. Like, they literally do not give a shit. If they think they can learn how to build a new, better, improved can opener, they will sacrifice 10,000 guardsmen to do that. That's not even a joke.
Well, can openers are important.
I'm just saying, these guys, for your tech priests, technology is their god. It's what they worship. The Omnicia. They believe every piece of technology holds the spirit of their god.
Okay, I gotta hit the oven.
All right, buddy.
Okay, I will catch you later. Later,
I will
all.
catch you later. And everybody who dropped in.
And happy belated 4th, dude.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Love the 4th.
Later all.
And Shellback, I don't know if RPG Grandpa stuck around, because this is not the most organized live stream ever. It's just me chatting with you guys while I paint. But let him know if he ever wants to like hang out. First off, the link is there, but if he didn't find it, he could ask for it. And I would let him totally set up what we talk about, and I'd go along with that, you know. He seemed like a really good guy. I watched him and Richard the other day, and I thought, you know, seems like a good guy. Plus, he's got like that accent that I like. It reminds me of home. So, and I think you, Shellback, you talked to him. I think you said that. He's the other Jim. So yeah, just let him know anytime I'm online. If he wants to jump on here and start talking shit about any game-related thing at all, I am 100% here for it. And for the love of God, do not wait for me to invite you, because, you know, sometimes I don't think about it. That's why I tell everybody, you are always invited. Oh, okay. Well, the same goes for RPG Grandpa too. I subscribe to his channel and everything. Yeah, I saw that. And I also saw he was on with Richard. Richard is a great guy. I subscribe to his channel and everything, and I hope he does good. I mean, I think he will. I mean, he definitely seems like he knows his shit. So I really don't think he's going to have a problem capturing an audience at all, you know. And, you know, like I said, my problem is, for my channel, is I'm a spaz. And I know I'm a spaz. You know, I get on here and I might get on and say, ask a DM anything. But if nobody starts asking shit, I will just train of consciousness into God only knows where. Yeah. So, you know, some of my most popular videos were when me and Shadow would be on together arguing about mages and shit. People seem to like that. Now, I will tell you one thing that does really good for me, and I don't even know why, is I'll do a live stream and it'll get 65 views. Now, I have a couple thousand subscribers, so I don't know where they all went. Maybe I pissed them all off. But I'll do a clip of the live stream and put it online, and it'll get 5,000 views. And I'm just like thinking to myself, there you go. My problem is that everyone that comes to my stream has an incredibly short attention span. Right? Because I mean, I've got shorts that have over 1,000, multiple shorts that are well over 1,000. I mean, the watch time isn't always great. Sometimes I've got like 5,000 watch time, but everyone watched half of the video. But yeah, man. What I need is what I wish, and we did this. I always invite my brother on. My brother could give 3 F's about role-playing games. So while I will always invite my brother on, as far as growing my channel, people like him and he's a wonderful guy. But if you showed up thinking you were going to learn about role-playing shit, you have been ripped off on that one. Because, yeah, my brother doesn't give a shit. As a matter of fact, my brother is the one who 9 out of 10 derails whatever I'm trying to talk about. That's his mutant power. I mean, you know, he's 15 months younger than me. That's his mutant power. He shows up. I'm trying to have a conversation about Hyperborea or anything, and he starts cracking dad jokes and getting edgy, and the next thing you know, down the rabbit hole we have gone. If I were the kind of guy that actually gave a lot of a shit about things, I would never invite him on, which he would like. Because I always have to try to force him to come on anyway. But yeah, shorts get distributed different too. It's like a lot of people who are actually subscribed with the bell rung to me have told me that they never know when my live streams are. They find out like 2 days later and shit. And being the kind of guy I am, I have a tendency to believe they're probably not lying. Because, I mean, why would they lie? It wouldn't hurt my feelings if they just told me they were busy or something. So I believe them. Plus, I've had it happen to me because I'm subscribed, bell ring, and everything to Razor Fist. And half the time I don't get his shit. And I'm just like, okay. So it happens. But yeah, some people look at my channel and they're like, they might say whatever, but I am a victim of myself, no one else. There was a time when I grew the channel that all I did every day was make a game review. And at one point, before I deleted them because I was dumb, I had every Conan 2-die-20 book and source book and everything, a 15-minute video about it, going into what it was about, whether you need it or not. All I did was reviews, and I was getting tons of subscriptions and freaking views. And then at some point I just started being like, I'm just gonna sit here and paint. I think I just got lazy. Anyway, I'm gonna go and take off, and I'll catch you guys later. Thanks for hanging out. This is what I decided to do with the 8. I may take a different wash for the actual not hairy bits and do his mouth up. But yeah, and I'll do the rim black, but I decided to do like a snowy thing because, like I said, I'm doing Hyperborea. So we're going to have some, grayish white carnivorous apes running around. So I got that done. I got a couple other things done, but now it is time to say adieu. Oh, and my wife whipped my ass at Agricola today. It was, I thought I was winning right up until I lost, but so long and farewell.